The final round of the 2015 Blancpain Sprint Series and GT Series season takes place on the seaside in Zandvoort in the Netherlands. But before we get the action underway, let's look back at last time out at Misano. The qualifying race was a night race and it was spectacular. Sergio Jimenez getting a great drive away off the line. But up at the front, it was the Nissan chasing down the Ferrari for the lead of the race. But the most important battle came further back. Laurens Vanthoor trying to pass Jules Simkowiak and he was sent into the wall. The Audi driver out of the race. Fortunately, he got out of the car, but he took a fracture to the hip and to the leg, and as a result, he'll miss this weekend's racing in Zandvoort. The Rinaldi Ferrari went on to win the qualifying race and started the main race from pole position. Patrick Kujala initially took the lead for Lamborghini, but Marco Seefried fought back, retaking the lead at the outside, and he moved back into a lead that would become unassailable. The next car to pass the Lamborghini was the Bentley. Maximilian Buhk and Vincent Avril hoping to take control of the championship after the retirement of the Vanthoor Audi. The Nissan was making places in the hands of Sean Walkinshaw as Buhk got out to hand over to his teammate Vincent Avril, just getting behind the line before the Bentley pulled away. Then the pressure was on from Mirko Bortolotti. A slow pit stop from the Huracan team meant that he was further back. But then the fight was on as Craig Dolby first of all attacked the outside of the Brazilian BMW, but he couldn't quite make it through. Valdeno Brito just about managing to hold on to fourth position. It was a fantastic scrap between the pair of them, and Craig Dolby tried to do it again a lap later. This time the Always Evolving Motorsport seemed to have got the move done, but he took too much speed into turn 13 and ended up running wide again. As the rain started to come down, the Brazilian BMW held on to that fourth place. But despite the slippery conditions, the Rinaldi Ferrari held on to take a superb victory. They took pole position and won the qualifying race and the main race at Misano, bringing them into the title fight. For this weekend at Zandvoort, BMW Team Brazil will be hoping to finish the season strongly. They're lying second in the overall Blancpain GT Series Teams Championship and will be hoping they can consolidate it. Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez have been unfortunate this season in the Zero car, and Jimenez hopes they end the season well.
It's a very nice track, it's very challenging, it's very difficult, no place to mistake. So you need to be very focused all the time. The asphalt is very old, so this is making it more difficult because the car is very difficult to set up. But I think it's a challenge for all the drivers in the race.
Thanks to Vanthoor's injury and Enzo Eid having to miss this race, there's been a change around at WRT. In the number 2 car is going to be Frederik Vervisch and Nicky Tim. Nicky Tim making his Blancpain Sprint Series debut. Vervisch raced in Baku last year. But in the number 1 car, Robin Freins, the championship leader, is being joined by Christopher Mies, and at his home circuit, Freins is confident of the championship.
Zandvoort is, I think, a bit more an Audi track than a Bentley track, but we will see. The Bentley was quick in Misano as well, and we didn't expect that, so we will see after qualify where we are. We're still leading the championship by 8 points, so we have the biggest chance to win it. Yeah, it's good fun to drive here the last round of the Blancpain and hopefully get that title.
There's been a bit of a change around at the GT Russian team as well. 2 new drivers for this weekend. In the 71 car, Marko Asma, the Estonian, is partnered by Russian Roman Mavlanov, who's making his Blancpain Sprint Series debut, while in the number 70 car, Alexei Karachev, who is now the Pro-Am champion, is being joined by Indy Donji. The local man lives just half an hour from Zandvoort, and he has raced with the GT Russian team before in the Blancpain Endurance Series. Despite it being his debut, he's very ambitious.
For me, the aim is top 8 qualifying, at least the Super Pole. That will be good for us. So yeah, let's aim for that, and in the race we will see where we end up. I think a lot can happen.
There's 2 Dutchmen at the wheel of the 83 Bentley as well. Jules Simkowiak and Max van Sprunteren teaming up once again in the Silver Cup. That car is a different car to the one that was written off by Simkowiak in the accident with Vanthoor in Misano. But in the 84 Bentley, that's where the championship could be decided. Max Buhk and Vincent Avril just 8 points back from championship leaders Vanthoor and Freins, coming into the final race of the season.
I'm really happy to be in this position at the end of the year, when I thought what my expectations have been at the beginning of the season, where I just wanted to maybe have a podium finish with a new car to get used to everything, and being in the position to fight for the championship is just great. And I just give everything I have, like every race, and then we will see how how we end up. In 2013 when I won here with Alan Day, last year finishing P4, could have been podium with Maxi Götz. And I like it, it's kind of old school. I think it's a track also for the Bentley. In the fast corners we are really stable, having good aerodynamics. Struggling a bit in the tight part of the circuit, but it should be fine.
The Lamborghini Gallardo is here once again. Hans Reiter's team bringing the 88 car for Albert Vanthoor and Taxis, and another Dutchman, Nicky Katsberg. Katsberg has really stamped his authority as one of the top GT drivers around this season. The high point this year was winning the qualifying race in Moscow. A superb drive from the pair of them, and fingers crossed they'll have another weekend to remember here in the dunes.
I think we should be able to do pretty well. We did a little preparation here 2 weeks ago. We finished on the podium, so I think we should be good. Obviously Audi are stepping up their game this weekend, so it might be tough, but we're gonna go for a podium. And I always like it here. It's a special track. It's, I would say, a hardcore track. If you go off, you're in the wall, and I quite like that. It's a bit of a challenge, so yeah, looking forward.
The always evolving motorsport Nissan looked set for a podium in Misano until a pit stop problem relegated them down the field. But still, there were some great comeback drives, and overall, Sean Walkinshaw is pretty satisfied with how his debut season in Blancpain has gone.
Overall, it's been pretty good, especially the last couple of rounds. We've been proving that both myself and Craig in the car are really strong together. It's taken us a little while to get up to speed, but it's also been, we've had quite a lot of bad luck this year, so it's good. Even at Misano, we had a problem in the pit stop when we probably would have been on the podium. Just hopefully this weekend we can have a very smooth weekend, no issues whatsoever, and show our true pace and actually finally get the results.
When we arrived in Italy, the Rinaldi Ferrari had no real shot of taking the championship, but a perfect weekend means that they are now just 17 points off Vanthoor and Freyns at the top. Marco Seefried is unavailable this weekend, so it'll be Jeroen Bleekemolen in the car alongside Norbert Siedler, who always knew Misano would be strong.
I think we knew before that we could be quick there, and we have a chance to win that race, and we did it. Yeah, it was great for us. All the team did a great job, Marco as well, and yeah, we did it. We are trying our best, we are just 17 points away from Lawrence and from Prince. But anyway, we will push for the weekend, and I play Sharon as a teammate, and then at the end we will see what's happening.
It's the final qualifying race of the season here in Zandvoort. It's the weekend where the titles will be decided, and hopefully it'll be a very entertaining weekend of racing. My name's Jack Nichols. Alongside me in the commentary box on a beautiful October day is John Watson. 17.7 degrees the air temperature, track temperature 22.9. A lovely day to be in the dunes.
I mean, it's Indian summer weather here in Zandvoort. Look at that flock of sparrows or whatever they are. Magnificent circuit, magnificent day, and let's hope we have a magnificent sprint race.
Absolutely, and the sprint points title cannot be decided today, but the GT Series overall points can be. You can see there Robin Freyns and Laurens Vanthoor are currently 27 points clear of Maximilian Buhk. So if Freyns finishes in front of Buhk today, then he wraps up the overall Blancpain GT Series title, which is a combination of the endurance events and the sprint events. So whilst that'll be very keen for Robin Freyns to wrap up, the big focus is on the main Blancpain Sprint Series title. Here's a look at the grid ahead of the qualifying race, and on pole position is Maximilian Buhk. Robin Freyns alongside him in the #1 WRT Audi. Then it's Nicky Thiem making his Blancpain Sprint Series debut. He'll be third on the grid ahead of Norbert Siedler, who's still in the championship fight. Winkelhock 5th and Katsberg in 6th position. Then it's 7th place for the Nissan of Craig Dolby. Mavlanov, a great performance in the GT Russian car to start there in 8th place. Then up into 11th place, you got Stippler and Sergio Jimenez. 13th and 14th for Vareno Brito and Philippe Salaquada, and the back row of the grid is going to be Anders Fjordbach and Max van Splunteren, who crashed in qualifying and as a result will have to start in 16th place. Round the final corner they come, waiting for the lights to go out and the final qualifying race of the season to get underway. Maximilian Buhk on the Bentley is in pole position. Alongside him on the front row is Robin Freyns. The second row is Nicky Thiem and Norbert Siedler as we wait for racing to begin here in Zandvoort. Watch for the lights. There they go, and it's a great start from the Bentley. Also a good start from Nicky Thiem, who's looking to the inside, and the Ferrari's going to get through past Robin Freyns as well as they hurtle down towards turn 1. Is the Ferrari of Siedler going to end up in third place? Freyns holds it around the outside and spins. Round goes the championship leader into the gravel trap, and he may well be beached.
Well, I was going to say what a poor start from Robin Freins. He had every opportunity to keep pace on the contact coming through just before we get into the Hugenholz.
Off into the wall, and that is Anders Fjordback, and that'll bring out the yellow flag. We may even have to have the safety car if Robin Freins can't get out of there, but Bentley leads, and they are going to be laughing all the way to Sky Flag at the moment.
All you have to do is keep pace with the pole-sitting car. Robin Freins, he may have had a problem, we don't know. We're being, let's say, too critical about his poor start, but that allowed the field, the Ferrari and others around him, to swamp him. He tried to go around the outside, which is a doable thing here in Zandvoort, but on a set of tires that's still probably not up to race temperature or race pressure, put himself under pressure, and the mistake came, and he's in the gravel. I mean, I couldn't have made it up if I tried.
So, Robin Freins in the gravel trap, and it doesn't look as though he's trying to get out of there. He desperately doesn't want assistance from the marshals, but it doesn't look as though there's going to be any options, and I can see the yellow flags and full course yellow boards being held out, and there is Robin Freins, and he is absolutely gutted.
Without being too hard on Robin Freins, I would not want to be in his position when I walk back into my team garage to explain that one away, and Laurens Vanthoor, his face, he's not looked a happy camper all weekend for fully understandable reasons, and that clearly...
I wouldn't be surprised if Freins got a tap down at turn 1. It looked to me as though either the Ferrari or his teammate got a little nudge. You'll see him on pole position, didn't get the best start in general.
More than a car length behind when they got to this start-finish line. Now he's back into third equal at best, and let's see, the Ferraris on the inside. There's only so much. No, I think that was pretty much all on his own. I would say he just lost the back of the car. Tire temperature, tire pressure, wrong part of the track, dirtier part of the racetrack. The higher up you are, all the negatives that were going to be available. Well, he pulled the lever on the old machine, and it came up lemon.
So Robin Freins will be dragged out of the gravel trap. The safety car is out, and this means they'll have to start the race tomorrow from the very back of the grid, which is even worse news, really, than, okay, they'll lose 8 points, and if it stays like this, they'll lose the championship lead, but then they've got to start at the back of the field tomorrow.
But their joker in the pack is in second place, Nicky Team, who drove, in my opinion, one of the drives of the 24 Hours of Spa this year. He is in second place. He's obviously, it's irrelevant where far behind the Bentley he is. Robin Freins gets the car out, spins it up. I mean, there's gravel everywhere. You can see it coming from the back of the car as he pulls away. Now, lost a lap. All he can do is join up to the tail of the field. And what recompense can he do from there? Nothing.
The safety car is coming in as they come around the final corner. Safety car pulls in, the racing gets back underway after a dramatic first corner here at Zandvoort, and it's Maximilian Buhk who is leading across the line. Nicky Team's in second place with the WRT Audi, and then it's Norbert Seidler in third. Challenge on for fourth position as Nick Katzberg tries to get past Marcus Winkelhock, but he's not going to be close enough on the run into Tarzan this time through, and everyone's going to make it through safely on the dirty inside line now. And so now the race will begin to settle down with Maximilian Buhk leading the way, just 0.7 of a second clear of Nicky Team at the moment, with Seidler in that third position. All line astern through there. This will be very interesting to see what Seidler can do. Then he's in that lime green 333 Ferrari. That's his teammate Jeroen Bleekemolen on the left-hand side. Thumbs up from him, because he's pretty happy, I think, with the position that Ferrari has ended itself up in as they come through the final corner at Arie Luijendijk. And across the line, the gap was just 3.5 of a second between Tim and Seidler last time through. Now, as they come across the line, it's gone up by 1/10, but still, Seidler is there. The back end getting away a little bit under braking. Someone going defensive. That's the Brazilian BMW. And nevertheless, here's the look up the inside. A very late move from Mavlinov, and he gets past. And Brito tries to fight back, isn't able to. So that is now 8th position.
Looking at the start again. So there's the Audi. Let's get a look and see if there is. Ferrari tries to come down the inside, squeezes alongside. And this is going to be the critical point of the corner, so lots of clear air at this point. Well, it's very difficult to tell. It's sort of the way the car breaks away, you could say the way it broke away was quite quick.
Go on board with Sergio Jimenez. So Maxi Buhk leading the way by 3 seconds, and if that stays like this, he and Vincent Abril will lead the championship by 1 point over Frans and Vanthoor. Of course, Vanthoor not racing this weekend. Seidler would still be in contention, but he'd be a little further back. What's that? 14 points off the lead of the championship. Still not an insurmountable advantage, but Abril and Buhk, 1 point advantage, starting on pole position.
And that's the key. It's the pole position, the control of the start. Maximilian Buhk did a brilliant job, brought it down to the start-finish lights. Lights went green, and he nailed it, and he just dropped Robin Freund. And as a consequence, that was then the beginning of that chain reaction that resulted in Freund ending up in the gravel trap. In my opinion, from what I've seen, and I've seen pretty much all the angles that are available to us as commentators, that it was a mistake from Freund.
This is side-by-side action coming down into the right-hander, and this is Van Splunteren trying to get past Philippe Salaquada for 12th position. Indy Donci's finally managed to do it then on that last lap. Indy Donci's got up into 11th place, and now it's Max Van Splunteren who is trying to get past Salaquada next in that 83 Bentley, and right behind them is Robin Freund. So in comes Norbert Seidler for the Rinaldi Ferrari team. He's the first man to pit of our leaders. Jeroen Blekemolen will take over.
The tail of the field are coming in, so there's no benefit for them to continue out.
So away goes Blekemolen.
Ferrari, and Jeroen Blekemolen is back out. Let's hope that was a good pit stop, a clean pit stop for the Ferrari.
There's Craig Dolby handing over to Sean Walkinshaw. Looked clean to me from just watching out the window, and it looked like it was a decent stop. A good pit stop as well from the Nissan boys, because that's been something that has hampered them over the last couple of, well, all season really. The pit stops, that's going to be very close, and just coming out in front is going to be Stefan Ricalmi in front of Valdeno Brito and Attila Brunau at the wheel, and that is a change for position.
Yeah, that was a critical one as well, because it means that by getting ahead of the BMW, that's one less battle you have to worry about. You know, the battle between the Audis and the BMWs was not really, advantage to one or the other. Whereas Maximilian Buhk is coming in. I'm surprised he's coming in so early. And is second place, Niki Team. So basically, the principle is once your leaders come in, then everybody's going to follow in. And the first of the lead cars in was the Ferrari. So everybody else is now following the leader, and nobody wants to be understepped, so the Bentley comes to a stop.
So Buhk in to hand over to Abril, and we've got Niki Team in to hand over to Frederik Vervisch.
So this is going to be an opportunity for WRT to get this car out ahead of the Bentley, but the Bentley boys doing a good job. There is the Ferrari, and it's going to be Jeroen Blekemolen is going to be not quick enough. The Bentley gets rolling. Where's the Audi? And Audi's further down the pit lane.
It's right at the end of the
still
pit
up
lane
on the jacks, and it's not down the tire. The right, left, rear still. So it's going to be possibly a change for second and third. There is the Ferrari coming down the straight. Looks like the Audi's just about safe.
But there is some damage now on the Audi, on the number 2 Audi, and I'm not sure where it came from, whether it's from the pit stop or not, how long it's been there either, but the left side of the Audi has got some flappage going on up by sort of the rear window. So positions remain the same. There is Maximilian Buhk, who's handed over to Abril, who continues to lead the way. Then it's Frederik Vervisch in second place, and Jeroen Blekemolen in third position. Here's a look at the replay. And there is the damage, and we're not sure where it came from. And now has come Max Van Splunteren to hand over to Jules Simkowiak in the 83 HTP Bentley. So it had to start down at the back. Sounds like they've got a bit of a problem at the rear, but not too much drama as the car heads away and everyone else finishes their run. Anders Fjordbæk handing over to Michael Markussen, the new Danish driver for this weekend. There is Nick Katzberg handing over to Albert von Turn and Taxis. And this could see them maybe gain a little bit of time here. I don't think it'll be quite enough to gain them a place, but it will be interesting to see how close they are to the Phoenix Audi and to the 333 Ferrari in front. There is Indy Donci coming in to hand over to Alexei Karachev, and away now goes the Lamborghini.
Yeah, problem getting it rolling. They just stalled the engine.
No, the engine's still going.
It's looking down to the right rear, that as if it hasn't loaded properly on the onto the hub, so the gear got on it again, but there's an issue and they can't decide what to do. Lift the car up, leave the car on the ground. In the meantime, the race leader, Brill, goes through, so they decided to take the wheel off. It looks as if they didn't get the pegs and the dialing in the wheels located, and well, having a look at it, I mean, it's disaster, absolute disaster.
And now away finally goes Albert Vanthoor and Taxis, but that's a real shame for the rider team. This is Jules Simkowiak, who was online to be the star of the weekend, really, until his teammate ended up in the gravel and qualifying. Here comes the attack from Christopher Mies, looking to the inside of the BMW, under the braking for Tarzan. We're on board with Mies, he's not quite going to get it done, and Jules Simkowiak will go, okay, I'll try and go all the way around the outside. I think Mies might have given Attila Abreu a little bit of a nudge there, and he gets through, and Simkowiak follows through as well. Well, and then for the number one car, that was not for position, so it doesn't even matter, but Simkowiak's move is now for 8th place.
Well, that was a strong move by Simkowiak, saw the opportunity, made it forcefully, but got through in relatively clean terms, and again is still facing the rear of the Audi of Christopher Mies. He wants to get ahead of that car because, if for no other reason, just for his own pride.
Oh, and off Simkowiak's just gone off at the chicane, and I think he's managed to recover. Just saw it at the top of the frame there. Here's a look at the replay on board with Christopher Mies. There we go.
Oh, it was a big under brakes, just simply locked it up under brakes.
Went proper off cross country there, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, that was a big, I mean, just all of a sudden these cars got ABS, so
yeah,
whether that was something went wrong with the ABS or whether just simply he was just too aggressive on the brakes.
Big news for the championship, a drive-through penalty for car 333, the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari, for pit lane infringement, and that infringement was not controlling the wheel, so they've obviously let a wheel bounce out there. Meanwhile, oh, in too deep goes Walkinshaw, through goes Raquelme up into that position, and now Bueno's going to try and get through as well, and Walkinshaw might end up getting a little bit mugged here. The Brazilian BMW's on the outside coming towards the penultimate corner, not close enough. This is all going to play into the hands of Jules Simkowiak. There you can see confirmation at the top, drive-through penalty for 333, but now Walkinshaw's under pressure.
Yeah, he made it coming out of turn 10. He was being threatened by the Audi. He went to the right of the track, dirty part of the track, down into the Hans Ernst chicane, and wow, with it just saved.
Simkowiak goes to the inside to get past Mies. They're going to hit each other, and Mies almost ends up in the gravel again, and Kaka Bueno dives back through to get past Simkowiak, but Simkowiak's still there on the outside coming up to Gerlach box, and he goes through, so Simkowiak makes up the place. The front bumper's almost totally gone.
Well, that's the charade round the bonnet, nevertheless.
7th place now for the Bentley.
Wow. I mean, that was tough. I mean, he came down the inside, forced the issue with the number one Audi. The Brazilian BMW slipped up along and tried to get through. And in the meantime,
there's a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, I mean, there you can see, if it's one clip holding that body part in place, suspect it's not going to stay on an awful lot longer once it gets onto the straight. Wind pressure.
In comes Jeroen Bleekemolen then to serve his drive-through penalty. I think he's going to come out right in this fantastic scrap we've just seen, because he was about 20 seconds or so in front of them, and so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there as Bleekemolen comes through. So keep an eye out for this squabbling pack. He's at the end of the pit lane now. Here they come over the start-finish straight, and Raquelme is going to get past Bleekemolen. No, so it's only a one-position drop for Jeroen Bleekemolen and the Rinaldi Ferrari team. So that is going from 3rd to 4th is not the worst thing that could have happened. You're going to be on the same row of the grid. You just lose one championship point. In the grand scheme of things, that was not too bad.
Probably not, but I mean, it was still a disappointment, and it just shows how easy it is, all the work that's done on the racetrack. And normally it's the other way around. There's the back of Simkowiak's Bentley, and there's bits of tape also now flapping around. We can't quite see whether the bonnet shroud has finally detached itself, but up the hill into Schijfloch and in great corner. You make your commitment, you try and make your apex. It's bumpy in the middle of the corner, the back end sort of moving around, then up, and then all of a sudden immediately into this master's corner, this right hand corner, which is very difficult to make the apex for.
A look to the inside from Raquelme, but he's too far back to get past Bleekemolen. And still, Jules Simkowiak is not close enough either to pass Sean Walkinshaw in front of him. Through the right-hander comes Vincent Abril for the final time. He and Max Buhk took pole position. Buhk took the lead at the start, held the lead at the start, and Abril has just had to bring it home to win the race and take the lead of the championship with one race to go. What a showdown we're in for in the main race tomorrow here at Zandvoort. Second across the line, Frederik Vervisch and Nicky Thiem. Good job for the WRT boys, and it's going to be a podium for Nicky Meyer-Melnhof and Marcus Winkelhock. Good run from the Phoenix Audi squad. It'll be fourth place for Blake Molen and Norbert Siedler, so that won't be the result they want. They're going to lose a bit of ground in the championship, but they're not out of it yet. And look at this towards the line. It's just going to be the Nissan of Walkinshaw who holds on, ahead of Jules Simkowiak in the Bentley for 6th and 7th positions. But there's Maximilian Buhk. And there is a very happy Bentley team, because they now lead the Blancpain Sprint Series Championship. Let's have a look at the results then after 35 laps of racing, and it is the Bentley HTP Continental GT3 of Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buhk that win, 5.7 seconds clear of Frederik Vervisch and Nicky Thiem. Third place is the Phoenix Audi of Nicky Meyer-Melnhof and Marcus Winkelhock. Fourth place for the Rinaldi Ferrari, so they drop back a little in the championship fight. Raquelme Nortelli, 5th. 6th place for Walkinshaw and Dolby. This will also be the grid positions for the race tomorrow. Simkowiak was superb and finished in 7th place. Cacabueno and Sergio Jimenez in 8th. Attila Bruin Valdeno Brito in 9th spot. Marco Asma and Roman Mavlanov completing the top 10. Bononomi and Salaquadra in 11th. A slow pit stop for the Reiter team mean Albert von Turn and Taxis and Nick Katzberg finished down in 12th position. Let's hear, first of all, by the looks of things, from Maximilian Buhk. He and Abril, race winners.
Max Buhk, congratulations, you've won the race. You're ahead of the championship and you're starting in pole position.
Yeah, good day. I had a good start. It was my main focus at the beginning, to have a good start. Then maybe pulling a gap, but not too hard to be consistent with my tires until the end of my stint, which I made quite well, I think. And yeah, tried to make it safe, because we know that number 1 Audi, I got it over radio and I saw him that he's out, so we tried to make it safe, and I'm really, really happy, but we have one more day to go tomorrow.
Now, did you go before the lights went green or not? Because you got a massive jump on the front row seat.
No, not.
Are you sure now? I'm going to have to question you, because how could you have gotten such an advantage?
I don't know. I saw green and...
I'm pulling your leg. Don't worry, Max. Okay. You had a great start. Avram. Vincent. Great job by your teammate, super job by you. Clear air all the way through. Now, pole position and a point in the lead in the championship.
We couldn't have expected much better arriving here. This guy did a fantastic job on the Saturday, so today on qualifying he did a mega lap, and for sure it makes my job much easier, but now tomorrow is when it counts, so we are in the perfect position, so we should keep it that way, I hope.
And more importantly, the car's just like it's out of the showroom, unmarked.
It is, yeah, as always, huh?
Brands hatch. Anyway, well done, guys, well done.
Let's hear from Frederik Vervisch and Nicky Thiem. There with John.
Nicky Thiem, you're very happy with your position, but you just ultimately didn't have the pace.
No, first of all, say thank you to be here. It's since Spa I haven't been driving Blancpain, but to be here and help the team is quite fun and a good series. So yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, for the race, the Bentley is tremendously quick, especially on the straight, so it's not so much we can do. We tried to do it over this distance and in a pit stop, but it didn't work. But yeah, we had a good pace, I would say. So yeah, P2, I shouldn't be complaining.
You're not complaining, but no. Obviously you're going to be in the front row of the grid tomorrow. You're going to have the same scenario, lights red, go to green. How are you going to beat the Bentley into turn 1?
Yeah, tomorrow's a new day, and I have a very fast teammate, so I'm sure he will figure something out.
Well, you better do it together. Frederik, come in.
Yeah.
Well, second place, you must be delighted.
But I can't remember I had a podium, so it's quite a long time. So so very nice to drive at Nicky and then to have the chance with WRT. So yeah, very happy.
Many thanks.
And there are the trophies handed out to the race winners of the qualifying race here in Zandvoort. Victory for Buhk and Abril, the lead of the championship for Buhk and Abril by 1 point, and pole position for tomorrow's main race for Buhk and Abril. Well, what a year it's been in the Blancpain GT Series, starting off way back in April, and now here we are in October for the final 1 hour of the championship season. We've got the overall GT series to be decided, we've got the sprint series to be decided as well, and it will all culminate here in Zandvoort in the middle of the dunes just outside of Amsterdam. It's a lovely chilly day, 10.5 degrees the air temperature, track temperature at 13.6 degrees, and I don't think we're going to be getting any rain here because it's been a beautiful weekend here at Zandvoort. This 4.3 kilometre circuit really has been an entertaining one for the teams and the drivers. The drivers love coming here. Here you can see the undulations and the corners that make up this historic circuit. They've been racing here since 1948, and hopefully today we will see one of the classics in Zandvoort history. 14 corners, 4.3 kilometres, and as I say, a classic venue that has provided us with some great GT racing over the years. And there is the very busy final grid of the season. And it is going to be on pole position, Vincent Abril, the man who is leading the Sprint Series Championship by 1 point over Robin Freins. There is the 84 Bentley, and John Watson has caught up with Maximilian Buhk, who is the teammate of Vincent Abril. He's got it all to lose.
It's cold.
Max, 24 hours ago, did you imagine you'd be in the lead of the championship by 1 single point?
No, not really. No, I was not thinking about anything before the weekend, so that's why I'm more than happy to be in the position now.
So what are you thinking about now then?
Just about the first corner and about the start, that Vincent is having a clean start without any major problem, and then that we can decide after the first flying lap how our race will be and how we can manage it to the pit stops.
You got Audis to the side of you, Audis to the back of you, Audis everywhere around you. Are you feeling a bit insecure?
No, because we're having no Audi in front. That's our opportunity. If we can take the advantage we have from pole, I think we are capable of doing a good race and maybe pulling a bit of a gap, but we will see what happens. We cannot know that.
Now, yesterday in the Parc Fermé, I was teasing you about jumping the start, but it turns out actually you did anticipate the start. Can Vincent do the same thing and not jump the start?
I think so, because he did it well in Moscow, he did it well in Portimao as well, and I think now it should be even more easier from pole. So I think he is calm enough to do it.
You've got an hour to go till the flag falls. I'll see you then.
See you then.
Maybe, depending on whether he's in the top three at the end of the race. There you can see Frederik Vervisch and his girlfriend having a little conversation with Guido van der Garde. They're the former Formula One driver for a couple of Formula One teams. I was going to say Sauber, but I can't remember if he actually drove for Sauber or whether he was just part of that whole contract shenanigans. But or Guido van der Garde, as I think I should actually pronounce it, seeing as we're here in the Netherlands, one of the top Dutch racers here alongside Frederik Vervisch, who will be in second place and starting that Team WRT Belgian Audi Club car. They've already wrapped up the championship. So let's now hear from Nicky Thiem. His teammate Vervisch is starting the car. Team will be watching, and now he's talking to John.
Nicky, Frederik Vervisch is going to start the race, but really, has the Audi got the grunt to get into turn one ahead of the Bentley?
I can tell you in around 15 minutes, but yeah, it will be difficult definitely with the talk of the Bentley, but yeah, we already spoke through our strategy, and I think we're really well prepared, and yeah, we have a great car. We showed in the warm-up, and Frederik was really fast, so I'm sure we can do as we can, and as I said yesterday, we will push to the max today. It's where the points are given, and we'll try and take the victory.
I don't like asking these questions, but Nicky, there's 3 Audis and 1 Bentley. Are you going to hunt as a pack and try and corner the Bentley and, you know, control it?
That's what we're here for, I think. Yeah, we came here to help the number 1 car, but yeah, sorry that it's in the back now. So we do what we can to give at least the 4 rings a good victory and a good end of the season in the Blancpain.
An even worse question, like, think back to a DTM in Zeltweg, questions and answers about instructions from the pits, what to do with a competitor. You're familiar with those ones?
Thanks for the question, but no, we're not in that group. we do our race as a racing driver, and yeah, not so many comments on that. We do our race like yesterday, where we got the maximum out of it, and that was P2. And today we try even harder. We got better tires today, so I think we can give more pressure to the Bentley today than we did yesterday.
I know you will. Many thanks, Nicky.
Thank you.
Didn't really enjoy that question, did he, Nicky? Tim? Yeah, the reference to the collision that was ordered by Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich earlier on. And yesterday, I caught up with Laurens Vanthoor, the man who was leading the championship before his accident in Misano. Let's see what he had to say.
Clearly, I had better days in my life until the last couple of days, but it's okay. Not a lot of pain, just annoying pain. Sitting in the bed, cannot put any pressure on my hip, so I have to be careful. But mainly, I'm okay. I came out of turn 6 a lot quicker. He went wide, he went a bit sideways. I came on the side of him with more speed. He didn't give me enough room. I went with 2 wheels partly on the grass. And coming up for the next corner, obviously, once I got past, I had to go back a little bit to the right. I cannot go and brake on the grass for the next corner. And then we touched. He touched me on the rear wheel, and what happened is obvious. Pain, I don't really care about it. I will be back okay in a couple of weeks. The first moment when we knew it was only the leg, we had a plan I would be driving. Even if I had the leg, we would have found solutions for that. But the moment when I did another check in Belgium and I did a scan and I saw my hip was broken, and it was obvious I couldn't drive, that for me I didn't speak for the whole day, because you're working a whole winter, a whole year to win a championship. You're leading it. Everything's going well, and now for me it's over. For me, that's the most painful. I hope really from my heart that WRT wins it and Robin wins it. But again, deep inside, I'm not gonna lie, that would be painful for me as well, because we drove together the whole year, we worked together the whole year, and in the end, maybe he will be champion alone, and he deserves that more than everything. But that's for sure something which will hurt for the next couple of years.
A very reflective Laurens Vanthoor. And now John has caught up with his teammate Robin Freins, who's going to be starting in 14th place on the grid.
Robin, we did not expect to see you or the number 1 Audi at the back of the field. I mean, emotionally, it must be awful. What can you do from the back?
Well, Zandvoort is not a track you can easily overtake here, especially with the Audi. But yeah, we do the best we can do, and hopefully have a good pit stop. And well, we will see what happens.
Now, yesterday in turn 1, we couldn't see any contact, but it turns out that there was. The Ferrari did touch you. Norbert Siedler came and apologized.
Yeah, true, he came and apologized, which was a good thing. But yeah, it was a bit late, but it's racing. And okay, I had a bad start and a brake late, and I left enough room for him because I knew he was on the inside. But still, he got a very small touch and he spun me around. So,
well, we know you're going to do your best this afternoon, and have a good one.
Thank you.
So Robin Freins, whose teammate Christopher Mies will be starting the car all the way back in 14th position. It was due to be a 3-way title fight, but unfortunately in warm-up this morning, the 333, and there is Robin, having spoken to John, he's got to get off the grid quickly. And there's John running as well on the left-hand side. Blimey, I've never seen him run ever since he smashed up his leg in a Formula 1 race at Brands Hatch. Never seen him run before. We'll keep that one for the archives. And yeah, he's just keen to get back to me, isn't he? So here's a look at the grid that are about to be pulling away. It was going to be a 3-way title fight between the Bentley and the Audi, and also the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari, but guttingly their engine lost power this morning in the warm-up session. The 458 Ferrari is usually a totally invincible GT3 machine, but not this time. A real shame for them and for us that they won't be taking part in the race here today. And there is the number 4 car of James Nash that will be starting at the back of the grid after they had a flywheel break in the race yesterday, and they've had bad luck all season really. Said to Frank Stipler had some bad luck this year, and he said, well, it's bad luck and not much pace either. So he hasn't been particularly happy with how this season has progressed. So it is now just a two-way title fight between the car at the front and the car at the back. In the Sprint Series, Buhk and Abril are 1 point ahead of Robin Freins. So if they finish in front, then they will be the Sprint Series champions. This is how the final grid of the season lines up. Abril on pole position, Frederik Vervisch for WRT alongside him. Then another Audi in third, that's Nicky Meyer-Manoff, and Stefan Rakelmi will start in fourth position. Fifth on the grid, watch out for Sean Morgan-Shaw in the fast-starting Nissan. Jules Simkowiak has been stunning here all weekend. Bueno and Abreu are in 7th and 8th places. It's 9th for Marco Asma, 10th for Marco Bononomi in the ISR Audi. 11th place for Albert Vanthoor and Taxis after they ran into pit stop problems yesterday. 13th for Markussen. Then Christopher Mies is 14th on the grid. 15th is James Nash. And that is how they will line up for the final 1 hour of this season. So the cars making their way around. Trying to get some heat in the tyres as they circulate this 4.3 kilometre Zandvoort circuit. So if the Bentley finishes in front, they will win the Blancpain Sprint Series, Buhk and Abril. In terms of the overall championship, Bentley have to win to give Max Buhk the opportunity of winning that overall championship. If they win and Robin Freins finishes 8th or lower, then they will be the champions overall. But all Robin Freins has to do is get up to 7th from 14th on the grid if he wants to wrap up the overall Blancpain GT Series. But these guys want to win as many championships as they can, but in the grand schemes of the Sprint Series, that's the one they're aiming for. If they get the overall GT Series, that's great, but the Sprint Series is where it's at. Back from his brisk morning run is John Watson, and what did you make of the atmosphere down on the grid?
Obviously it's very tense because Bentley, winners of the sprint race, on pole position. Max Buhk, you can see the tension on his face. 3 Audis around. I did have to ask the hard question. Nicky team unfair that Nicky had to answer it for something he wasn't involved in. But it is an issue. They've got 3 Audis, 1 Bentley into turn 1. It can be a pincer movement to try and neutralise the Bentley. Let's hope not. We've seen the Bentley getting off the grid really quickly. In fairness, Maxi Buhk, he did anticipate the lights. Everybody from Nicky Meyer-Manoff upwards and the Audi team are aware of that. But that's within the regulations, as long as you don't cross the line before the lights go green.
The safety car pulls in. The final race of the 2015 season is about to get underway. It's Bentley versus Audi for 2 titles, but it's Bentley starting on pole position and Christopher Mies in the Audi starting in 14th position. We're set for a fantastic battle of the dunes when the racing gets underway. Abril and Vervisch on the front row. Meyer-Manoff and Rakelmi on row 2. Walkinshaw and Simkowiak on row 3. There is the start, and the race begins. Down towards turn 1, a lot of movement in the middle of the pack. Oh, and into the wall, that's the Brazilian BMW, and spinning in front of the pack. Christopher Mies slams on the brakes. Both the BMWs are spinning, and both Attila Abreu and Kaka Bueno are going to be out of this race, surely. Attila Abreu definitely is, but the Bentley holds the lead. Second place is Vervisch. Up into third has gone Rakelmi. Nicky Meyer-Manoff has lost places as well. The Simkowiak has made it through for 4th place. The good news for Robin Freins is he made up about 5 places in all of that. But, Christopher Mies, I should say. And there is Nicky Meyer-Manoff out of it, and the yellow flags are out. Safety car deployed.
Yeah, it's been a messy start into turn 1. Full course yellow, so everybody slowed down. Vincent Abril got the message when he got to tires out to Hugenholz-Herpen. But coming down again, the pinch point on this relatively narrow start-finish straight here in Zandvoort caught out the first of the Brazil BMWs, which then ricocheted back off into the sister car, and everybody else around either had to get on the brakes and come to a standstill or take very rapid avoiding action. And again, it is the rolling start. Some drivers are saying, let's go back to standing starts for the sprint events, and maybe that's something that may have to be given consideration. There's the second of the cars, of the Brazil cars. One of them either lost a complete tyre or a wheel and tyre. Couldn't quite see what that was, but there it is. I think, well, look at you, see the damage to the rim, the bodywork, the car, and this I can't even make out in the camera shot whether it's the right rear or not is missing a wheel or just the tyre, but something did in the form of a Pirelli tyre go roll across the racetrack.
Yep, not good news there for the Brazilian BMW team, because that also means that it looks certain that they'll lose second place in the Sprint Series Teams Championship. HTP 8 points ahead at the moment, and Nicky Meyer-Malnov out of the race as well. I'm not quite sure how he got involved in all of that, unless he got a slow start and that's what began the whole melee, but I'm sure we'll have a look back in a couple of moments' time. But the 84 Bentley of Abril got away.
Strange, because that Meyer-Malnov car was on the second row of the grid. The two BMWs are back in the fourth row of the grid. In between, you had the Nissan of Sean Walkinshaw and the second Bentley of Jules Kankoviak, who actually was at one stage looking like he was in the top 4 coming off Tarzan, but doesn't appear to be so.
So across the line they come then, and the green flags are waving, so it was full course yellow by the looks of things that has then been retracted. So the race is back underway. We had no information and message that was going to happen again, and bizarrely Marco Bononomi's in the lead of the race. So Marco Bononomi in the ISR Audi has managed to take the lead of the race away. Now, whether that was he was the first to become aware that the full course yellow had been retracted, I'm not sure. We didn't see it. We were just looking at other things out there on the racetrack, but Marco Bononomi's in the lead.
Well, we've got nothing on screen to indicate that the race has gone green. One sector, sector 1, still under yellow flag, still seeing a yellow flag on the top of your timing clock. But apparently wave green flags indicate, and of course that all happens prior to start-finish line.
Yeah.
So once the race goes green, it is actually not at the start-finish line, it's at there's another mark point on the racetrack, which is there that the race gets underway.
But the Brazilian BMW, there's still red lights at the end of the pit lane, and they weren't letting him out of the end of the pit lane there. So very odd scenario, but I think we are racing again here in Zandvoort. Marco Bononomi it is who's leading the way. We'll try and figure out how and where all of that happened, because full course yellow, whenever the full course yellow is rescinded, you race straight away, and that must be what happened.
I mean, that car, 75 Audi, it was actually starting in the 5th row of the grid. So how it managed to get from there through the melee and the turn into turn 1 and then come out ahead of the Bentley, maybe it's just that's very, very astute reading of the rules and regulations.
Okay, and so we're going to also keep an eye out on this, because as they come across the line, Bononomi leads, Vincent Abril's in second place. In third place now, as they come through, is Vervish. In fourth place is Christopher Mies in the number 1 WRT Audi from 14th on the grid. We've still got waved yellows down at turn 1 for that BMW. So are we going to have waved yellows at the overtaking spot for the whole of the race? It seems like that might be the case.
Well, in the case of Christopher Mies, undoubtedly he got some advantage out of the incident coming down pitch straight into turn 1 before the whole yellow flag. So that's up to him to make his way through all that and use the skill and ability he's got to get to where he is. But what I'm still unclear about, we haven't really seen why we've got the number 75 Audi, Bononomi, in the lead.
We're trying to find out exactly what happened.
Undoubtedly we are, but they're under pressure now from Vincent Abril, and it will, I think, be a matter of time before the Bentley slides past the Audi, not into turn 9, because Bononomi is enjoying his day in the sun here in Zandvoort.
But Frederick Vervish is joining the fight very quickly, as is Christopher Mies. So if Mies can catch up to these guys, he's going to be only 1 place effectively behind the Bentley once Vervish gets out of his way.
And this race will be won or lost, in my opinion, in the pit stops.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we know who's good in the pit stops.
WRT.
Correct. Bentley's not bad, but WRT have been the consistent masters of that particular skill.
Christopher Mies, purple in sector 1, purple in sector 2. He is hurtling up to the back of this lead championship fight. Absolutely bizarre opening 5 or 6 minutes to this final race of the season. Out over the start line again comes Marco Bononomi. He's going to have to go defensive here, but there's waved yellow flags down at turn 1, and so Abril cannot overtake, and he has to get off the power and not put the overtake in on the Bentley, and that's going to be frustrating, because that car's going to stay there for the whole of the race now.
Well, that's the part of the racetrack the Bentley was going to make its easiest pass. It's going to be down into turn 1. The rest of the racetrack now has gone green, but there isn't any easy place. Possibly you can look at it into turn 9. We saw Abril have a sniff on the last lap, or into turn 10, but you've got to be alongside the car. You cannot attempt to go for a closing gap and assume that you're not going to make contact.
No, absolutely not. So it's Marco Bononomi who is leading the way in the ISR Audi, the first time they've led a race all season. But look how close that Bentley is as they come up towards turn 9, then into the right-hander of 10. This is where Abril thought about a move before, looks to the inside, not close enough, And as far as the championship is concerned, this will still wrap up the sprint title, but they have to win the race if they want to win overall. And but the problem is for the Bentley, they're going to be under a lot of pressure now from Vervish, and there's Philippe Salaquada. Wonder if he knows how they're in the lead.
Well, I mean, Philippe Salaquada is looking at it probably as perplexed as we are, but obviously I think it's been an astute reading of the rules, and when it was the key as to when the yellow flag was being withdrawn, that somebody had said to Bononomi, look, get on with the program, this race you can pass once you've reached there's a safety car line effectively, and once you cross that, then the race is underway once the flag has been withdrawn.
Through the final corner they come, and through Ari Leyendijk. And the challenge is on as they come down towards the first corner. Abril looks to the outside. Can he get the job done under braking? I think he's going to go all the way around the outside here. Great move from Vincent Abril, and he takes the lead of the race. Wonderful stuff from the Bentley. The yellow flag at turn 1 has been rescinded now, so that's a legitimate move, and Abril leads. What happened is, when the full course yellow came in between turns 10 and 11, that's the moment you can then attack. And as you were saying, Bononomi knew that and went, fine, off I go.
I mean, I don't. Everybody else was probably watching the screens and didn't see that part, but somehow Bononomi got the message, or he understood the rules, probably from coming from DTM, where he has to deal with all that every day in and out.
And Christopher Mies as well, presumably, because that's how he made all those places.
Mies may well have benefited from the incidents getting into turn 1, but he may well have also been aware and made progress. So we've now got Christopher Mies in 4th place. He's just under 2 seconds behind the battle, which has now gone to the Bentley. The Bentley is pulling away, so they want to let Christopher Mies get through as quickly as possible, as they will do with Frederic Vervish, who is now getting up alongside-ish, well, not quite, coming out of turn 10. Bononomi now has done his job. He needs to get out of the way and let the other 2 Audis get through.
But he's nothing to do with the WRT squad. Okay, it's the Audi family, and he is a factory Audi driver, Marco Bononomi, but he doesn't have to let them through by any stretch of the imagination. He wants to finish up as high as possible, and Vervish has now got the move done as they come through the right-hander and out onto the straight again. But that full course yellow, that's the first time we've had a proper full course yellow, I think, in the Blancpain Sprint Series. Here comes Christopher Mies. He's managed to get a much better run alongside. He's up into 3rd place, which will, well, if he gets the job done under braking, which he should be able to do, and that will very quickly become 2nd place.
I mean, you said that Bononomi is a factory driver. He's not driving for WRT, but at the end of the day, this is about Audi winning this Drivers' Championship, not about anybody else. And I am quite certain that all Audi drivers have had a common briefing. They haven't admitted to it, but I'm suspecting that that was the case. That we are here to do one thing, and that is to try and get the #1 Audi as far forward as is possible to enable it to be with a chance of winning this championship. It's not going to beat the Bentley on pace. Let's watch the start again and try and understand what went wrong with the BMW, because it looks again, it moves to the centre of the field and then gets...
the BMW comes across, Attila Abreu comes into Mayer Malnoff.
Yes, so then again you can see now somewhere in amongst all that, there's a wheel or a tire certainly comes off the BMW.
The front right of the
and Christopher Mies has made advantage of that, rightly so, because he wasn't doing anything incorrect. He just read it and saw it and took advantage of it.
So watch the yellow BMW come across to the right in a moment, and then has contact and is spat into the wall, and the 0 BMW has to take avoiding action. And so that's where it all went wrong for Nicky Meyer-Malnov. It was a slow start from him. Simkowiak and Walkinshaw got past. This is the view from on board with Christopher Mies. Away we go down towards turn 1. The shunt gets underway, and he stamps on the brakes and manages to avoid it all. Walkinshaw got quite a big hit in all of that too, but it looks as though he's still able to continue in 8th position.
But Christopher Mies didn't get any advantage, as we've seen from that shot. So again, as in the case of Bononomi, good teamwork, understanding the rules and regulations, told Mies, get on it when you go across the safety car line, because then we are gone green.
Yeah, absolutely. So 49 minutes to go. Abril leads, and as it stands, Robin Freitz would win the overall Blancpain GT Series title, and Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buhk would win the Blancpain Sprint Series title, which in a way seems like the fairest result. It would be nice for everyone, but that's not the way that Robin Freitz and Christopher Mies will be thinking at the moment. And there's Vincent Voss about to make the radio call perhaps to Frederic Vervish.
Absolutely, and I think that it's going to come sooner, not later. I think it is in the interests of the Audi family to let Christopher Mies make as much progress as he can. He certainly was quicker than we saw than Marco Bononomi in the 75 Audi. So,
and as Nicky Timms,
that's corporate racing. Look, you're not looking at that's corporate racing.
And as Nicky Thiem said to you on the grid, who's the teammate of Frederik Vervisch in that number 2 car, he said, we're here to do the job, to protect and help the number 1 car. That's what we're here to do.
Correct, and undoubtedly, Frederik Vervisch did a great job in the sprint race yesterday to bring the car home in 2nd place. Christopher Mies needs to clear it as soon as possible. The problem is the pace of Vervisch is a strong pace. He's doing a last lap of 39.2, identical to that of Christopher Mies, as opposed to the 38.5 that the Bentley leading in the Bentley course, running in clear air, completely unaffected by any traffic. All he has to do is look forward. What now needs to happen is a message, maybe a pigeon post or something, sent out to Frederik Vervisch and say, you know, remember the 11th of October.
Abril leads 3.3 seconds clear of Vervisch. He's 4 seconds up the road from Mies, his main championship rival. As you say, we've still got a long run to play out. You can see the damage on the rear left there of the Nissan of Walkinshaw. A good start as well from Marco Asma. He's up into 6th position now. And there you can see the points predictions as it stands. Abril and Buhk would win overall, from Robin Freitz in 2nd position and Laurens Vanthoor in 3rd spot. And the only way that will get reversed is if Freitz gets up into the lead of the race. And there is Vincent Vos, the man in charge of the WRT Belgian Audi Club operation. And at the moment, there's no movement from Vervisch. I guess if Mies isn't showing that he's legitimately quicker, then it might not.
Well, the problem that Mies has got is that if he gets too close to the tail of the other Audi, unless there is going to be inter-team cooperation. But
now
let's
look at this.
Again.
There's Bononomi. He's been told, yeah, you can race, so he's gone, okay, fine. Overtakes them all and heads off into the distance. And watch out for the number 1 Audi for Christopher Mies. So there's Mies, and he isn't on it quite as much.
But
he somehow makes it. But Simkowiak's got no idea what's going on.
He's sitting back thinking it's Sunday.
It is. He's right. But yeah, so that's how it all unfolded. Fascinating stuff. And there must have been. We had no message here from race control saying full course yellow in, safety car, anything like that.
Well,
there must have been some kind of radio communication out there.
Well, the full course yellow was thrown, and within a lap it seems to have been withdrawn. Yeah. But again, on our timing and scoring screens, we did not get that information, which normally will immediately be flagged up on our screens so we can pass that on to the audience. Yeah. But I mean, that's what understanding and using the rules to your advantage is all about. Bononomi did it brilliantly. Christopher Mies likewise. Both the Bentleys caught flat-footed.
Yeah, absolutely. But Abril has managed to get back into the lead of the race now, though, and we're on board with him as he feathers the throttle, gets on the brakes, and then gently applies the power through Skyflak. Taking that little bit of grass on the run towards the Masters box, and at the moment, Frederik Vervisch in 2nd place is more than holding his own over Christopher Mies. It's not as though Mies is close enough at the moment to put Vervisch under any pressure.
No, he's not, and of course just the problem he will have is because both cars are identical in performance more or less, the difference will come really more from the person behind the steering wheel than it will from the cars. Simkowiak looking to try and make a manoeuvre on the Mercedes. Marco Asma, yes, back for that battle for 6th and 7th place. What Mies would like to have is the opportunity to have the run behind the Bentley in clear air to see whether he can get close. The Bentley's been running consistently up to half a second a lap quicker than the 2nd and 3rd place Audis. What they need to try and do is get Christopher Mies into 2nd place and mitigate the gap between the lead Bentley and the Audi, so that when the pit stop window does open, which is going to do in 9 minutes, then that's their best chance. That's their only chance in reality, other than another, obviously, safety car intervention.
And if things finish like this, you can see the point standings at the bottom. The Blancpain GT Series overall, including the endurance events that we run as well. And Robin Freitz will win the overall championship, which I think, will be satisfactory. You want to do as much as you can, but if you come out of a season winning 1 championship,
I tell you what, Jack, you're not a great salesman, because nobody in Audi's buying that at all.
That's very true. So Vincent Abril leading the way. I spoke to Vincent Vos actually before coming up here and said, what's your priority, the sprint series or the overall? He said everything.
And that's the way it is. When you go into manufacturer racing at this level, with the commitment, the manpower, the technology, the finance, They're not coming here to make up the numbers, they're coming here to win these championships, and that's what they're about. Championship upon championship. It's a roster of success for teams like WRT. HTP have done it in the past with the Mercedes, great success now, into Bentley, and hoping to walk away with one of the two options, one of the two championships available to them, and they are favourite for the Drivers' Championship as we stand right now.
And WRT have already won the Teams Championship in Sprint and the Teams Championship in overall, so it's been a very good year for and in endurance as well. They won from Bentley M Sport by just 3 points at the end of the season in endurance, so it's been a very good year for WRT. But nevertheless, they want to end it on a real high. As they, this is a replay of Vincent Abril coming down through the Hunsrug and just flicking up a bit of debris.
Like a bit of some form of carbon fibre. One of probably the little bits of fibre around the sort of the front of the car that deflects air. You want to get that off the racetrack. I don't know if the Audi, the number one Audi, didn't pick that up on the spoiler. It certainly didn't seem to appear after that third of the three cars coming through ran over it.
So Frederick Verviche and Christopher Mies are running about half a second a lap slower than Vincent Abril up at the front. This circuit is looking very, very strong for the Bentley team. And Mies and Verviche are about half a second a lap slower. So that gap will continue to grow at this rate. And you have to wonder whether Christopher Mies believes he can go any quicker or not. Then there's a bit of a gap back to Bononomi, who in turn has been dropped or has pulled away from Stefan Rakelmi, and Rakelmi has become entrenched in the battle between Marco Asma and Jules Simkowiak. Jules Simkowiak there in that 83 HTP Bentley only needs to finish the race or to be classified to win the Silver Cup title this year, so I think that'll please him. And it's been a good performance in terms of pace from Simkowiak, but he has become a little...
He's not, let's say, most popular guy within the Audi ranks, because he's been involved in incidents throughout the season, and sometimes youngsters coming in, very talented, very quick, sometimes have to curb that
enthusiasm,
impetuosity of youth.
Good, that's a better word.
This is impetuosity, yes. So Robin Freehan's beginning to process. He's got just under 5 minutes now before the pit lane will open, and I wouldn't imagine we're going to see Christopher Mies coming in too early, but he's got ahead. He's not ahead, so that's been a corporate overtake, I would call it.
Yep. So Christopher Mies up into second position. Then there's the leading Bentley, and there is Christopher Mies in second place. I presume that was just a move over on the start. Well, it kind of been right on the start line because he was still 0.7 of a second behind. So somewhere out there, Verviche has moved over.
What you do is you come into the braking zone into turn one. You might normally brake about 120 meters. You might, in this instance, brake about 300 meters and just roll all the way down into the corner.
As they come through now, the right-hander. And there is the Bentley, and there is the second place car of Christopher Mies, and there's Frederick Verviche in third position. And we've got 40 minutes to go, and we've still got plenty to unfold here in Zandvoort.
Well, now Christopher Mies has been released from that third place, which he's held more or less since about the third lap. So it's going to be whether Christopher Mies can get his head down and try and get into the high or the middle 1 minute 38. I somehow doubt it, because just the pace Audi have had, they've never been in race context within 0.3 of a second of what the Bentley's been able. I mean, this thing gets on the straight and it lights the afterburners, and that's all you see of it is.
It's a good impression.
It's not bad.
So the gap between them is 4.5 seconds. On that last lap, it was a 39.3 for Abril. It was a 39.2 for Christopher Mies. So he was a 0.1 of a second quicker, but that's all. The pit stop window opens in just 4 minutes' time. And Sean Walkinshaw's come into the pits, actually. So Walkinshaw's come in the Nissan into the pit lane. Here's a look at the replay of how the overtake happened then. Frederick Verviche up in front, and Christopher Mies coming down, and he'll just dive up the inside, will he, of Verviche, who's hanging around the outside somewhere.
bit of a tight shot. We can't actually see whether V's car has gone, whether it's still
has he gone
ahead or whether it's behind. So
that must have been it. He must have been
up high
on the banking.
Yeah, I mean, just simply let Christopher Mies go, and gap as they came across the line at the end of lap 12 was 4.5 seconds. You know, they would like to see that gap if possible. We've got probably just over 3 minutes to go before the pit lane opens. Whether they will bring the Bentley in at the earliest opportunity, let Max Buhk take over and get the pit stop out of the way, which really would then force Audi to follow suit.
Yeah.
Because if the lead car makes the pit stop, then you want to be as quickly as possible following its example. So watch, not on this lap, obviously. We've still got another 1 lap and maybe possibly 2 laps before pit window will open. And it may be the play of the day from Bentley to come in as early as possible, make the pit stop. Pit lane will be empty, no traffic to get in your way, an easy run into your actual box to stop. All those sort of things are what win or lose a race.
Yep, absolutely. And we've seen the Bentley team lose a race last time out in Misano thanks to a pit stop problem. And they'll be hoping that it's not the same thing today, because today would be a bad day to have a pit stop problem. You can see lights flashing on Alexei Kadashev as he hunts down James Nash for 8th position. Then you've got Albert Vanthoor and Taxis down in 10th spot. Still got Rakelmi in 5th, Asma, Simkoviak and the like, but it looks as though it's race over for Sean Walkinshaw in the Nissan. He's been in the pits for 2 laps now. And he was running strongly, got a big hit at the start, had some damage hanging off the back of the car, but maybe that damage has been gradually getting worse. Last lap, Christopher Mies took a 1/10 of a second out of Vincent Abril. 1/10 of a second a lap isn't really going to do the business.
No, I mean, the fudge factor that you might play for is you gain a couple of seconds during your pit stop. And if you can do that, then that can put you into a position. There you can see over the last 3 laps the gap, the increase in pace, the number 1 Audi taking literally tenths or hundreds of, maybe in some cases, a thousandth or so of a second out of the lead of the Bentley. 4.5 seconds at the end of lap 13. As we go back now to this battle with Bononomi for 4th, Rakelmi, Asmir, Simkoviak. The Bentley looking a lot more resplendent than it did at the end of the sprint, with bits of panel hanging off at bonnet surrounds. Looked like something you'd find in a car boot sale.
So this is the battle for 6th place, as you say. Asma, Simkoviak, Nash and Kadashev. And there is Christopher Mies, who once again took 0.06 of a second out of the lead of Vincent Abril. And really, if things remain like this, there's not much that Christopher Mies can do. The only hope for them is that a Freyntz and Buhk battle might have a little different speed comparison, or they do a better pit stop.
Well, Audi is preparing for a pit stop. It looks to me as if Christopher Mies is going to be, certainly, if not the first car into the pits, the second car, Robin Freyntz, is ready. And they will have the best of the rubber available. I don't know whether they will have held back a fresh set of tyres, a brand new set of tyres. That's the kind of thing, again, that gives you that little bit of an edge if you can get through the weekend and not use up all your new tyres through the free practice sessions, all 3 qualifying segments, and get through then the sprint race with a tyre change and that, and still have a new set of tyres. Well, you've done your work pretty well.
On board with Christopher Mies. Eyes focused on the road in front. A little check to the left as he comes down, I think, towards the chicane. Onto the brakes, into the right, and then dropping down hill through the left. And will he be coming in this lap? That's going to be the question, as Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buhk.
Question is the leading Bentley coming in as well as it comes through the Ari Lyondike Kern, and he's staying wide. He's coming in, he's in, so the Audi and the Bentley.
Yep.
I suspect.
Well, I can see Robin Freyntz out of the window.
Yep.
So
the lead 2 cars are coming in. Now it's down to Vervish, who will take the lead of this race, and he will do his job and just do the number of laps he's required to do. So Bentley comes into its parking slot, now stops, and Audi, of course, running at 50 kilometers per hour in the pit lane. It's an eternity. But of course, for the Bentley then returns to the pit lane, it will have the same joy of 50 kilometers per hour.
So out gets Christopher Mies, in gets Robin Freyntz. The seat insert gets absolutely lobbed, and they strap in Robin Freyntz. The WRT guys doing the job on the wheels, and away goes the Bentley. It's a clean stop for the Bentley team. Away now will go the Audi. Oh, and it's a long wait. It's a long wait for the number 1 WRT car. Finally, away they go. They would have slashed the gap down, but what happened there? I couldn't figure out what was the problem.
Well, I don't know whether it was that the car didn't start or because it started and you couldn't get, the gear, it stalled, whatever it was. They lost certainly 3 to 4 seconds. Certainly, in my view, the Audi had the opportunity
to be right there.
To be not necessarily just behind the Bentley, but coming side by side. Who would have had to concede, I'm not sure. Even at best, it could have probably come out just ahead of the Bentley. It was so close. Everybody had done their job properly. So apparently it wouldn't fire. When you come in, the engines are warm. You can get a little bit of vaporization in the fuel systems, even though it's a fuel-injected engine. But that time lost now, Robin Friends is going to have to make. This is going to be the drive of his career, in my opinion, to try to get onto terms with Max Buhk, who's no easy partner, no easy competitor to beat.
Even with that problem, they are now just 2.5 seconds behind. That's just using my internal clock, but roughly it's much less than the 4.5 seconds it was before the pit stop. So without that error, they could have been really there or thereabouts. Robin Freites now at the wheel. He's won championships before. He's been part of championship deciders before, and he's usually come out on top. Will it be the same here today? Into the pits comes the 2 car of Frederik Vervisch to hand over to Nicky Thiem.
Just have an eye on this pit stop. This could actually put this car back into contention.
That's very true.
For first and second place if they can get a really clean, quick pit stop. Again, WRT, there is the Bentley coming round in the lead. Max Buhk coming through Harry Lyondike curve. See the number 2 Bentley, number 2 Audi. So it's off the jacks, it's the engine fired up, it's rolling. He is going to come in, he's going to be in 3rd place.
Yeah, so just behind the number 1 car. So now it's all about a race between the 84 Bentley of Maximilian Buhk and the number 1 WRT Audi of Robin Freites. These are the 2 cars battling over the lead of the championship, both in terms of the overall GT Series and the Sprint Series. And it's just got to be done on the track. Albert von Turnen Taxis is just at the fastest middle sector of any. Well, it's Nicky Katzberg who's now in the car.
So it's a real battle. Christopher Mies being congratulated by Vincent Voss. He did the business he was required to do, eventually got into that 2nd position. Pretty much maintained the gap between himself and Vincent Abril in the lead.
Fastest first sector of anyone for Robin Freites there in the number 1 WRT Audi. We're on board with Freites now as he tries to close in on the man in front, Maximilian Buhk. He's taken another 2/10 out in the middle sector, so he's brought down 4/10 of a second the gap so far on this lap alone. He is going to be on an absolute mission now, Robin Freites.
Absolutely, now all he can do is just drive his heart and soul out and try not to abuse the tyre too much. In the course of doing so, of course, you'll lose any benefits you got. Whereas Max Buhk, very, very cool customer indeed. I mean, he is such a complete driver. As we go
Let's look up the inside. Nick Katzberg, he's going past Indy Donchi as they battle for the positions further down. He doesn't quite manage to pass Donchi on the left-hand side there, but now he's looking to the right-hand side as they come down into the hairpin, the chicane, sorry. But again, not quite close enough. The gap at the front between Freites and Buhk came down now to 1.6 seconds. Considering that was 4.5 seconds before the pit stop window opened, they've made some good progress.
Yes, they have. But traffic may well become an issue, just waiting to see whether the cars at the tail of the field who will then be making their final pit stops. We've got another 3.5 minutes before the pit stop window closes, and then they go in and do their pit stops, come back out. Are they going to come into play in the battle? This is not the battle for the lead in the minute. This is the battle between Nicky Katzberg and Donchi. That's our 9th and 10th positions.
Yeah, absolutely. As they come now towards Gerlach Bocht. And then we'll try and close in, and that is the number 2 car of Nicky Thiem that we're seeing there, right up behind Robin Freites, and he was 1/10 of a second quicker in the first sector alone. There is Vincent Abril.
You can see in the Bentley garage, they know they've got a race in their hands. You can see the gap now is visibly coming down, and Nicky Thiem, his car made that pit stop a little bit later than the number 1 Audi, is right on it. That is typical Nicky Thiem drive. I was mightily impressed. Yes, that's the number 1 car. The gap's coming down substantially now as Maximilian Buhk got an issue that we're not aware of. Is he on the radio? Was that maybe that the view in the Bentley pit we had a few minutes ago? Simkowiak is in for his pit stop on the second of the 2 Bentleys. Max van Spluteren will take over that car. Now where is that going to come out? It shouldn't come into play.
It was in 7th place, just behind the 71 Mercedes, but it looks like it's going to gain a position on the Mercedes and come out 1 place higher up for Simkowiak. So that looks like it's going to be a net 6th position for Jules Simkowiak, who's handed over now to Max van Spluteren, although we haven't had the 71 Mercedes pit yet actually, so they'll probably still emerge behind. But this is Robin Freins, the man on the mission, closing in on Maximilian Buhk as he comes up to Master's box now. The gap is down to 1.3 seconds between the two of them. Nicky Thiem, meanwhile, has gone purple in the first sector, and that man, Max Buhk, is going to be starting to look in his mirrors and go, oh, they're coming.
Yes, they are, and maybe a little bit premature to think that that champagne could be sprayed in front of the Bentley garage. They're looking, there's pensive looks on the faces of the members of the Bentley team, because the lead that they had when they rejoined, Max Buhk took over, has been eaten into. Nicky Thiem actually maybe the quickest of these 3 cars altogether. He had the fastest first sector of anybody on this lap, a 43.1 seconds for that first sector.
Oh, problem there for the number 4 car, Stippler.
And, James Nash and Stippler pulling off the racetrack.
If you'd have told me, John, on the grid, or if you'd have said to Robin Freins on the grid, don't worry, by the time you get in the car, you'll be second to the Bentley and you'll have a bit more speed, so it'll be fine, he wouldn't have believed you.
Well, I spoke to him actually off camera and asked him a lot of questions which he didn't ask on camera because they're trying to chase us off the grid.
Yeah.
But certainly, I mean, all he wanted was the opportunity to be in the position. And here, coming from the back of the grid, the 7th row of the grid, I beg your pardon, to challenge for victory and also challenge for the championship. That's the key.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if it stays like this, he will win the overall Blancpain GT Series title. But these guys have been going non-stop all year in the Sprint Series to win the Sprint Series title, and that is the aim for Robin Freins. The gap's down to just 1.1 seconds now. Buhk knows it and has done a personal best in the first sector. This, meanwhile, is Philippe Salaquada under pressure now from Monegasque man Stefan Ortelli in the WRT Audi, the number 3 car. And Ortelli, a former champion of this series as well. In the 2013 it was, he and Laurens Vanthoor won what was then the FIA GT Series title. As they get on the brakes into the chicane. And there is the retiring Frank Stippler. And, well, a miserable season for Stippler and Nash.
Yeah, and it's been a hugely disappointing. Frank Stippler deserves really better, and he's been had to deal with. So another disappointment as we go back to the 2nd place Audi, Robin Freins.
The gap was 1.2.
It's about a second an hour, and I thought, yeah,
it's down to 1.
Second at 0.76. So, you know, minute increments from now forward, because he's going to get the influence of the Bentley on the aerodynamic bits of the circuit. The other parts where maybe the Audi has a fractional advantage over the Bentley are not probably that many. And of course the Bentley with Max Buhk behind the wheel is able to control. All he does when he gets onto a straight line, just floors the throttle, and the Audi driver just sitting there. They can't do any more. In a straight line you can't do any more than you're doing. You might make up a little bit on braking, you might make it a little bit more on the exit of a corner, but really it's all nip and tuck by a few tenths of a second between the 2 cars.
So Philippe Salaquada still in 4th place in the 75 car, under pressure from Ortelli. They haven't changed around their pit stops. Van Spluntren's made up a place in the 83 Bentley. They're now up into 6th position then. So the 71 car of Asma has pitted and handed over to Mavlinov, and they're in 7th place. Katzberg's in 8th. Indy Donchi is in 9th spot at the moment with Stippler out of the race. So that means it's Anders Fjord back in 10th. Sergio Jimenez in 11th, and that's the last of our runners actually, because we've had Attila Abreu, Nicky Meyer-Melnoff, Sean Walkinshaw and Frank Stippler all retire from the race. Down through the chicane. How's this lap going for Robin Freins? Again, he's 0.3 of a second up on this lap so far as we go on board with Freins towards the final corner at Arie Luyendyk now. And how much of a boost is it when you can see the car in front of you and you're closing in? And
well, you know, obviously it's a boost, but the final corner onto start-finish straight is an aerodynamically affected corner. So the closer he gets to the Bentley, the more downforce he's going to lose off the front of the Audi. But aside from any of that, the Audi doesn't have the straight line grunt speed that the Bentley has. So even if they came out on the straight side by side and it was just simply a pure race of horsepower, the Bentley would end up maybe a car and a half, 2 car lengths ahead. That's the frustration. The straight is not the place I would anticipate the Audi being able to challenge the Bentley. If it happens, if he gets sufficiently close, it's going to happen somewhere around between turns 9, 10 and maybe into the chicane, but you've got to be mighty brave and make sure you are fully alongside.
These are the two men battling for the Blancpain GT Series titles. As it stands, Robin Freins, the car we're in, would win the overall GT Series title, but the man in front, Maximilian Buhk and Vincent Abril, would win the Sprint Series title, and Freins wants to stop that happening, especially after he was spun out of the race at turn 1 yesterday, finished right down at the back of the field. Now he wants to hunt down Buhk, overtake him and win the championship, and we've seen Robin Freins in these situations before. He is ruthless. 2012, sent it up the inside of Jules Bianchi in turn 4 in Barcelona, forced Bianchi out, and you can see him closing in, John.
Yes, he did close in, I think, on the run out of turn 10 down into the Ernst block, the chicane. Again, it's this, and Pierre Dudon, I mean, the tension in the Audi pit, you think it's tense in the Bentley pit, but they're leading the race. It's Audi are really, really doing everything that they can. If they're doing anything by telepathy, they'll probably manage to do that as well. The gap, they come up 7/10, first time with 22 minutes remaining that this lead has been under a second. So Robin Freins is just chipping away to get the Audi closer to the tail of the Bentley, to sniff those, whatever the CO2s are coming out of the catalytic converters that the Bentley runs.
Yep, I think you can trust the Bentleys, can't you? That's all right, as they come out of the hairpin and now make their way up through Hunsrück. Look how close Robin Freins is. This gap was 4.5 seconds before the pit stop window opened. Now it is 7/10 of a second as they come up towards Skavlak. Through there, then down towards Masters Bocht, and look at the WRT crew. Absolutely fantastic that we're in this situation. Whoever wins the race wins the championship, fundamentally. And after 7 rounds of the Blancpain Sprint Series, it's fantastic to be in that position, and it shows the competitiveness that we've had all year between the number 1 car and the 84 car, and this is just the kind of grandstand finale we want.
Remember, started back in the 7th row of the grid, number 1 Audi. If it hadn't been for that incident on the start-finish line, we wouldn't be talking about a race like this.
Yeah.
Look at the gaps, thousandths of seconds, quarter of a second, 10th of a second. So it's come down, back down to this chicane. Again, the Audi gets close, but can't quite get any closer. On the acceleration now up to the Kumo curve, then into the Ari Luijendijk curve. That's where the Bentley's legs can begin to get stretched. And again, for Robin Freins, he knows that he can do nothing. He's just pushing his foot as hard as he can through the firewall and into the radiator and whatever else is in front of us. So,
as far
what's going on?
Oh, and there's a bold move from Stefan Ortelli, punting the side of Philippe Salaquada as he tries to attack, and that's going to allow the chance for Max van Splunteren to look up the inside. Not really an overtaking opportunity there. This is all over 4th position. Salaquada, Ortelli, and then van Splunteren. I think van Splunteren could have a shot here.
Absolutely. That was an over-ambitious move by Stefan Ortelli to try and squeeze past the 75 Audi. Now, Jules and Kimi, well, I thought the Bentley would have made a better job. Maybe didn't get off the corner quite so quickly, but watch that white Bentley. No, Ortelli strong on the brakes. He can afford to take a slightly higher entry into the corner. It gives him another 3 or 4 meters where he could break that a little bit later and consolidates that position. So 5th place was being challenged by Max van Splunteren, but van Splunteren not quite as combative as his young teammate is. I think maybe if that had been Jules Simkiviak, you might have seen a little bit further action into turn 1.
Yeah, quite possibly. We've got less than 20 minutes to go now here at Zandvoort. Less than 20 minutes to go in this Blancpain GT Series season, and it's all about the battle for the race win. Who will win the championship in sprint will be decided by who will win this race in the final round of the season. Problem is for Freins now, though, he's got as close as he can almost.
Yeah, in my view, that's the difficulty he faces, and all around the back of the circuit. I mean, really, as when they come out of the sky block up through Master Curve into 9, 10, and down into Hank Ernst chicane, that's the place where the Audi is able to do its good work. from there onwards, it's where the Bentley can stretch his legs and just pull away. That's what gives Max Buhk that little bit of confidence, a little bit of breathing space, because he's got that knowledge. He knows that if push comes to shove and the Audi gets alongside in the final turn, he probably will drag it down into Tarzan Herpen and consolidate.
The pit stop challenge in this race was won by the number 2 car of Nicky Thiem. We saw it was a very swift pit stop, and Thiem and Vervisch, the 2 car, winning that. But for the overall Blancpain GT Series season, it's been won by the Zero BMW. The Brazilian BMW team, one of the quickest in terms of making pit stops, and they have been the quickest all year in that Zero car in changing the tyres and getting the drivers swapped in. So congratulations to the Brazilians, as we've got 18 minutes to go here in Zandvoort, and Max Buhk continues to lead by under a second from Robin Freins. But say, what more can you do? And can you pressure Maxi Buhk into a mistake? No, it's not really.
But you're not close enough to do that. I mean, you'd have to be literally trying to get through in the far end of the racetrack, up through, say, turns 9 or 10. In this context, Buhk, while he has to be kept honest, and he is being kept honest by the pace of Robin Freins, he isn't under that pressure. He's got that gap. He knows now, since the Audi's got to within a second, that's it. It hasn't made any further progress. It's not able to make any further progress because the part of the track where he can't get it done is the part we're now on, and sitting on board with Robin Freins. He's just sitting there watching the Bentley pull out 3 or 4 car lengths as they come down into the braking to Tarzan.
It's gone up to 1 second now, the gap between first and second positions. And there you can see the best lap from the Audi is much quicker, but that last lap he lost almost 1/10 of a second, and it's now up to 1.019 as they come down into Hugenholtz through the hairpin left-hander, and then up through Hunsrug, through the right, then through the left, and then up towards the Skavlak corner.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, it's what we're watching is just the seesaw of the strengths of both drivers, in a sense, but also their equipment. And once we get through these next sequence of 3 corners, which is through Masters, then down into turn 9, which is one of those funny corners you can take a variety of options to enter it and exit it, but the key really is to don't leave the door open into turn 10. Don't be vulnerable, because if you get alongside, then you can force the car further out, and then you get onto the dirtier part of the racetrack. But Maximilian Buhk, he knows, I mean, a second for him is as much as a minute in this situation.
Yeah.
It's only going to be if there is something on, expected 15 minutes or so of the race remaining. Again, you can see just how much Robin Freins. Yeah, he runs down, he's good on the brakes, the Audi really works well. Close coming in through Kumo curve. Again, the acceleration of the Bentley, and probably as close to being flat out through the long Ariellan type curve, then onto the straight, which is somewhere like 700 meters long. You know, you're only on it for about 8 or 10 seconds before you realize it's time to get on the brakes. So there we are into the braking zone, and the Bentley hard on the brakes, goes in low, runs it up high, then comes back down again to make the exit. Probably a little bit closer this time.
He took 4/10 of a second out on that last lap.
I wasn't even looking at time in scoring, I was using my expertise. Just the visual from the onboard shot told me that Robin Freins had made up a little bit of ground into as they go on to lap 27.
So here comes Freins through Hunsrug up to Slottermacherbox, and then up towards Skavlak. That last lap, as I say, was 3.5 of a second quicker than the Bentley, and we were on board with it the whole way through. A lot of it made up under the braking for the chicane.
Something Robin told me on the way down to doing the interview, he said, what are you going to do to get past the Bentley? He said, he's going to use DRS. DRS? GT3 car?
No, this is proper racing.
Look how close he is coming into turn 10.
Takes a wider line into 10 to try and get the drive out. We're on board with the Bentley. Less than 15 minutes to go now, and that we're on board with Robin Freins coming down into the chicane. Look how much he closes in. Part of that is concertina, but part of that is just taking more speed through.
Yeah, I mean, he's just carrying more speed into the corner, manages to make the change of direction.
Look how close he is.
Right, now as close as he has been at any point to the rear of the Bentley. Again, this is the Achilles heel in terms of what the Audi can do to try and really put a challenge onto the Bentley with the now just under 14 minutes remaining. And Max Buhk will realise that 0.6 of a second gap that it was when they came across the line the last time, down to 0.5 of a second. So maybe he's getting a little bit less comfortable. Yeah. The lead gone from a comfortable second to a less comfortable half a second.
It's gone from a comfortable 4.5 seconds, hasn't it, since the pit stop window opened. And down into Hugenholtz again they come. Slightly differing lines from both of them. The Bentley a little wider in the middle part of the corner. Lights ablaze now for Robin Freins as we go on board with him. Now this is the flat out sequence, maybe a little bit of a lift as they come up towards the final right. No, it's flat now. At the start of the race it's a little bit of a lift, but flat now as they come down through Skjevlak. Then to the Masters box. And again, this is where the Audi just falls away a little bit, and the chicane really, as we saw with Stefan Ortelli, that's where he tried to make a move into the second part of the chicane, and you just wonder whether Freins will do something similar.
But into turn 9, again, the gap has just almost halved into turn 10, so whether the Bentley's struggling...
Oh, and he's on the grass! Goodness me, that was a moment for Freins.
Oh, you mean more often than Bob Marley?
Well, yeah.
So even that was just a little moment, it didn't really make any big difference. But it just shows you how fine the balances are between these lead cars. They're literally not on the edge. They're on their edge of their tyres, and they're consequently the grip that both drivers have available to them. And that's the first sign of Robin Freins' really extreme limits, trying to get closer. Let's watch. This is the exit out of turn 10. He's slightly further out of the corner, runs the curb, stays on the curb.
Don't tell me that wasn't a moment, John.
I think it was a moment for the commentary with Vincent Voss. He was listening to the commentary, maybe he heard something from Robin Freins over the radio that made him think that was quite amusing. The smile on his face could have changed so quickly if it had gone all wrong.
Exactly. Down into Hugenholtz again. What a grandstand 12 minutes we are going to be treated to here at Zandvoort. The two championship leaders going nose to tail. If it stays like this, the Bentley wins the title. If Robin Freins gets through, he wins the title. It's as simple as that. No need for combinations and permutations. Whoever wins the race wins the Blancpain Sprint Series Championship of 2015. At the moment, Maximilian Buhk and Vincent Abril have a 1-point advantage over Robin Freins in second position.
Do you know the untold story of this battle for the lead? Do you know what that is?
Nicky Thiem?
Nicky Thiem has just sat there, shadowed everything that Robin Freins has done. And, you know, if circumstances had been different, would that have been maybe Nicky Thiem looking to take a challenge to the Bentley? He's just followed everything that Robin Freins has done in the third place Audi.
Nicky Thiem and Frederik Vervies, newcomers to the championship for this final round, because Laurens Vanthoor and Enzo Ida were both unavailable for separate reasons. He'd had a prior engagement and Vanthoor was injured at Misano, so as a result Vervies and team have come in that number 2 car. Oh, and another big slide for Robin Freins as he comes through the final corner at Arie Luyendyk now. How much is that going to be hurting his tyres, those slides?
Well, his tyres are obviously hurting, as everybody in the bunch of 3 at the front. But that's an indication of getting on the throttle, trying to eke out another little fraction of a second on the exit of the Kumo corner, and just the tyre said, I can't deal with it. I'm going to have to release it a little bit and give yourself a bit of breathing space.
At the moment, we haven't seen any real mistakes from Maxi Buhk up at the front, but he knows that the slightest opportunity he gives to Robin Freins will be taken advantage of. 10 minutes to go in this Blancpain GT Series season as they come down the hill now, and then up through Hunsrück and up towards Skjevlak. Okay, just dropped back a little, Robin Freins.
Yeah, I mean, you can't continue to drive at that level of performance without needing a moment to catch your breath and drop back. Also, the reason you might want to do it is, with 9.5 minutes remaining, you've got one more real opportunity to make an attack, so drop back fractionally, just consolidate and then focus on where you can maybe do it, and then try, and then catch the car, the Bentley, the lead Bentley, in the part of the racetrack where you've got your best opportunity to pass. And that best opportunity, we're just coming out of the zone where the Audi is marginally stronger than the Bentley.
Absolutely. The 3 cars now equidistant as they come towards the final corner, and then out onto the start-finish straight again. Bentley, Audi. The other Bentley down in 6th position. Still Stefan Ortelli is just half a second behind Felipe Salaquada as they continue their battle over 5th place.
Down into turn 1, and the gap was 7/10 of a second, so it's ebbing and flowing, you know, by a tenth here, a tenth there. You can see on lap 28, it was 14,000ths of a second was the plus, or the negative time out of the Bentley, then fractions of seconds lost in the next 2 laps. So up the hill, and how many minutes? 8 minutes really, which is going to be the best part of 5 laps.
Yeah,
4.5 laps.
maybe not even that.
With this lap plus 4.
Yeah, that's probably most likely. So 4.5 laps to go fundamentally in this Blancpain Sprint Series race. It's about 1:40 per lap. As Freytz comes through Masters Buhk now towards turn number 9. Takes a wider line in than Maxi Buhk there. But in general, they're using reasonably similar lines everywhere on the circuit. As Freytz now gets on the power. 11 runners, Stippler, Valkenshaw, Meermanhoff and Abreu all retiring at various points of this race. Ortelli still running in 5th place, Max van Splunteren and Jules Simkowiak in 6th position means that Simkowiak is about to wrap up the title. And the fans here at Zandvoort are hopefully enjoying this grandstand finale, if they're maybe not enjoying the weather. Just 10 degrees the air temperature, but on track, temperature's rising.
Yes.
What's the gap going to be as they come across the line now? Similar, probably 8/10 of a second.
I mean, it's almost irrelevant if it's 8 or 7/10 of a second. It's just simply the difference can be made up in one sector of the circuit relatively easily. And again, you know, I'm just looking at the 3rd car. These 3, that to me is the car that right now, if they were running in clean air, would be the quickest of the 3 cars.
Good drive this from Nicky Thiem, who has finished on the podium at the Spa 24 earlier this year. And has been a very strong racer over the last couple of years, former Porsche Super Cup champion. As they climb up the hill, up towards Skyflak. Through the right, 6.5 minutes to go. There's Vincent April, and I don't think he can quite cope.
I mean, it's an unbelievable moment for him. First time he's in a position to be a champion of a Porsche GT race series. Maxi Buhk has been there, has had that experience, but look again, coming into turn 10, the Audi's right on the rear of the Bentley. So it's an opportunity, it's a long shot. Is Robin Friens prepared to put...
Just kicked up a bit of dust on the exit, didn't he? And that's lost him a bit of momentum. He'll be later on the brakes, and the Bentley coming down into the chicane carries more speed through. And a good drive out of the corner for Robin Friens, but again, he's just not going to be close enough to that Bentley as they have 2 corners left on the circuit. Through the penultimate corner, and then the Arie Luijendijk curve, which is easy flat.
So that, to me, is the area of the circuit exit of 10 down into the chicane. Then Robin Friens has, I think, in his own mind decided as where if I can make an opportunity to get past, I'm going to have to make it stick. And it may not be pretty, but if you've got to do it, that's probably the best part of the racetrack for him to do it, both braking in a straight line, and then it's going to be about who's going to be the bravest to try and take control of the corner.
Nerves in the Bentley garage. 5 minutes to go, and really it's been this situation for the last 20 minutes, really. And there's nothing Robin Friens has been able to do so far.
The tension.
And, that's Maxi Buhk's father watching on, and he's feeling pretty nervous as well, because, as you say, Buhk has won championships before. Blancpain Endurance Series champion 2 years ago. He, effectively won the Sprint Series last year, but because he had to miss 1 race because of a bizarre license irregularity in Slovakia, it was just his teammate Maxi Goertz that won the title.
Indeed.
If he'd have competed in that race, which he probably should have done, he would have been the champion. I know it's always easy to say ifs and buts, but his teammate in the same car won the championship. It would be the same as if Friens wins this. It's kind of Vanthoor's championship as well, even though it's obviously not. So Buhk knows what needs to be done, knows how to get the job done, and at the moment he's doing it.
2 laps to go.
Through the final corner, round Arie Luijendijk, and out onto the start-finish straight once more. Are they going to catch those back markers?
I tell you, if they catch those back markers, they have got some speed.
Absolutely. So into the hairpin at Tarzan again. Again, just 7/10 of a second. The gap. It's just continual. These guys doing 39.7, 39.7, 39.7. So a metronomic pace up at the front. Through the curves of Hunsrug and Slottermacher. Still the nerves in the pit lane. As they get on the brakes into the right-hander. Then into Masters box. Back end a little twitchy for the Bentley of Buhk, but he keeps it together for the time being. Out through turn 9, down towards turn 10, and no one really can cope. If Buhk wins this, he is the overall Blancpain GT Series champion for the season and the Blancpain Sprint Series champion as well. Oh no, sorry, Robin Freins will still win the overall title, but Buhk will win the Sprint Series title. If Freins gets past, he's the one who will win both. Out of the chicane, and again, Freins is close, but not close enough to put Buhk under the necessary amount of pressure yet. On board we go with Robin Freins. Flat out through the final corner. The gap was 7.5 of a second. Last time they crossed the line, it'll be somewhere, it's down to half a second now for Robin Freins. That's the closest he has been. He's gone in very deep on the brakes into Tarzan. You can go a little bit wider through there. And look how close he is now to the back of that Bentley. They're on the penultimate lap of the race now. So Freins knows that it's got to be done sooner rather than later. And these two battle it out in similar circumstances in the Algarve, and on the last lap, Buhk started to go defensive, and that's what harmed him in the end. That's what allowed Freins the opportunity to make the overtake. Are we going to see something similar this time around? On board again with Freins, the man in second position. He's looking set to win the overall GT Series title, but he wants to get past the Bentley and win the Blancpain Sprint Series. The last time Freins took part in a full season and didn't win the championship was way back in 2009. And look at the back end stepping out. He finished third in Formula BMW Europe, and then won it the next year, won Formula Renault 2 litre in his first year, won Formula Renault 3.5 in his first year. Can he win the Blancpain GT Sprint Series in his first year as well? Behind them is Nicky Thiem. He is just keeping a watching brief on all of this and not getting involved. Through the final corner they come to start the final lap of the race. Maximilian Buhk is leading. 30 seconds left on the clock. 4.3 kilometers till we find out who is the Blancpain champion of 2015. They thunder down towards turn 1. Freins knows it's now or never, but he's 7/10 of a second back. Into Gerlach, down into the hairpin. That's the Bentley team. They are desperate to see their man Maximilian Buhk win the Blancpain Sprint Series for he and Vincent Abril. Whatever happens from now on, really, unless Freins somehow retires, he is going to win the overall Blancpain GT Series title. But it's Max Buhk who's the one leading the race. He and Vincent Abril there are looking set to win the Blancpain Sprint Series Championship of 2015. Only 2 kilometers to go now. Is there anywhere that Freins can find out there to have an opportunity to try and overtake the Bentley? Out they come, down towards the chicane, and look how close Freins is. But that Bentley is quick down the straight. Onto the brakes into the chicane. Freins will brake at the latest possible moment. Right up behind the Bentley, tries to get a better drive out. He's got a good drive out as they come towards 2 corners to go. But I think the pace of the Bentley is going to be enough. Maximilian Buhk comes towards the final corner now at Arie Luyendyk. He has been under pressure for his whole stint, but he's going to hold on to see the checker flag, to win the race and to win the Blancpain Sprint Series of 2015. It's victory for HTP Bentley. Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buhk are the drivers' champions. Absolute delight in the pit lane. Vincent Abril in tears.
Call him on the radio. Tell him fantastic.
They're going to call Maxi Buhk on the radio to tell him what a good job he's done. And here is...
It's on the radio. It's on the radio. Thank you so much.
Vincent Abril says thank you to Max Buhk on the radio. Fantastic scenes, fantastic emotion. Robin Frantz is still going to win the overall Blancpain GT Series title. But the Blancpain Sprint Series is won by Abril and Buhk. What an outpouring of emotion.
He's amazing.
He's amazing, says Abril, talking to Maxi Buhk's dad. And now they will leg it up to Parc Fermé. He had to withstand some pressure, didn't he, Maxi Buhk? But he's managed to pull it off, and he has managed to win the championship. Philippe Salaquada finishes the season with a 4th place finish, the highest place finish for he and his teammate Marco Bononomi. Maximilian Buhk enjoying it. Won the Blancpain Endurance Series in 2013. Did Maxi Buhk. He won the FIA GT3 European Championship in 2012.
How good is it?
Well, don't know if you heard what he said, but if you didn't, I think it's for the best. And there's Maxi Buhk coming back around. Superb performance from the Bentley team, and what could have been for WRT. They've won the team's titles and everything. There's Jules Simkowiak, who's also won the Silver Cup in the 83 Bentley. So drivers' titles in Pro and the Silver Cup for the Bentley team. Jules Simkowiak is the man who will have won the Silver Cup. But it's been a good year for WRT. They've won the team's championship in all of the championships. They've won the overall Blancpain GT Series with Robin Frantz, as they did last year with Laurens Vanthoor. But the Sprint Series title got away from them. Here's a look at the results after 36 laps of racing. It's victory and the championship title for the Bentley GT3 Continental, run by HTP. Vincent Abril and Maximilian Buhk, the winners. Christopher Mies and Robin Frantz finishing in 2nd place. What a drive from Robin Frantz, you have to say. And Christopher Mies as well. He went from 14th on the grid to 4th position. Robin Frantz then got into 2nd, hunted down the Bentley, but couldn't quite do anything to get past. Vervish and Tim finishing on the podium. Bononomi and Salaquada with their best result of the season so far. And Sean Walkinshaw and Craig Dolby, the last of our classified runners, in 13th place, but they had to retire with 25 laps to go. There's Maxi Buhk taking his time. There's Robin Frantz. And, well, whatever happens in the overall Drivers' Championship, he has won that championship. But he's frustrated. What more could he have done, though, I suppose? It's almost going to be more frustrating for Robin Frantz because he was almost there. If he'd have been pootling around at the back in 15th place, hadn't made up any positions, maybe got up to, 10th, the disappointment probably wouldn't have been quite as strong. But because he got so close, he could see the back of the Bentley, and he couldn't do anything about it. And that will be tough. They're all waiting for Maxi Buhk now to return to the pit lane. Here comes Buhk.
You made me cry.
Apologies for the little bit of language there, but fantastic stuff. Maxi Buhk and Vanthoor.
Fuck, man.
And they're both absolutely over the moon. Again, apologies again for a little bit more. Their English is very good, isn't it? As they go in to celebrate with the HTP team. So once they are sorted and have got their helmet off, then they'll be chatting with John. And presumably there's nothing John can rib them about today. But let's go and find out from Maximilian Buhk and Vincent Abril, our Blancpain Sprint champions.
Vincent Abril, champion, how does it feel?
I'm not realizing what we did today is amazing. I'm blessed to be part of a team like this and to have a teammate like Maxi. It was hard to watch, really, but what a season it's been for us. We're over the moon with this result. It's crazy.
Well, I've never seen so much emotion with two team drivers and such joy. When you get out of the car, this is like a championship. Not only have you won it, just the biggest thing in your life.
It is, and the achievement is unbelievable, and to have fought in the last lap of the last race of the championship against WRT, it means a lot. And for my first major championship, I'm blessed to share it with Maxi, and he's a great guy.
Max, congratulations, fantastic drive under extreme pressure, but this is your second time of a championship. For Vincent, first time. You're an old hand at this now, aren't you?
No, not really. It's always something new. I was, first of all, mega thank you to HTP for the whole season. They put on so much effort with the new car. For Vincent, who is like in this position for the very first time nearly, but he did an amazing job, like after Brands Hatch, for the rest of the races. Thank you to Bentley for such a competitive car and the support from M Sport, from crew and from Cockermouth. And yeah, I'm just really happy. It was a lot of pressure, and I was used to it because he gave me the pressure already in Portimao in the qualifying race. So, but I'm more than happy that I made it.
Now, you heard about the pressure. We were trying to read the pressure. You looked like you had it handled everywhere that once you got in a straight line. But did Robin Friends really at any point make you feel insecure that this lead could be lost?
Yeah, all the time, to be honest, because he was super quick in the second sector. With the Audi, he was super strong on brakes. I saw it all the time in the mirror, and I tried to make the same strategy like yesterday, to make it more consistent to the very last end. But he had the same to give like I did and what I tried, and I tried to use all the strengths we have, and it worked out.
Well, to me, Avril, Buhk, Bentley says winners. Well done, you two guys. Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you, John.
So what an elated Maximilian Buhk and Vincent Abril. And they will head off to the podium in a couple of moments' time. And but we are going to be here throwing Christopher Mies and Robin Freitz, and
it was good fun, but
a big congratulations to them. And let's now hear from our winners.
Robin, first of all, congratulations, overall champion between the sprint and the endurance, but you know, you'd love to have the two this afternoon.
Yeah, indeed, I was pushing really hard. I mean, I couldn't get more out of it. I was drifting out of the corners and tried to get as soon as power as possible to catch the Bentley, but he was just pulling away on the straights every time, and I couldn't do anything. I mean, but yeah, Mies had a wonderful start. When we were back in the grid on P15, no one thought I would be on the podium, and now we are P2, so thank you to Chris, and he did a fantastic job. But yeah, we just didn't finish it.
I hate asking all these tough questions, but Robin, what happened when you about to leave the pits? Did the engine stall, or would it not start?
No, it wouldn't start. I was pushing the button and nothing happened, and suddenly it went, so we lost 2 seconds with that. It was a shame, but I don't know what the problem was.
but the gap ended up being 4 seconds when you got back on track. You got that down to under half a second, but just the strength of the Bentley on the quicker parts of the racetrack, nothing you could do.
No, the last corner, which is almost flat, and if you drive behind the car, it's just like massive understeer and you're just losing the front end. So yeah, if you lose the front end there, then you lose top speed, and even though the Bentley is quicker on the straight, so yeah, it's a shame.
Well, Robin, look, you're overall GT champion. Congratulations, you've continued the trend. Every championship you enter, you've been a winner.
Yeah, true, but I see the sprint championship. But yeah, I'm overall championship, which is a good thing. But finishing P2 is just not that satisfying.
Look, have fun and enjoy it. Relax. You did a fantastic job. Christopher Mies, come into the camera here, Christopher. You started at the back of the grid. Big mess going down to turn 1. Full course yellow. But a lot of people didn't realize that the safety car line is out on the exit of turn 10. You and Bononomi realized that, or your team told you, and suddenly you came around in 4th place.
Yeah, it was a lot of confusion, you know. I saw the big start crash. I thought it's going to be a safety car, but it was a full course yellow. Anyway, I gained some places there, and then at the restart, like you said. And after that, I had a good fight with Marco Bononomi. Sure, I didn't have to fight that hard against the other Audis, but I think that's the same for everyone who's fighting for the championship. And yeah, we came from last to P2. I think both of us gave everything we could. We had a perfect pit stop. In the end, it was just a tiny bit too less to win the championship for Robin, but I think he can be proud of his first GT season.
Well, Christopher, congratulations. You did a brilliant job to get the car into position to give Robin the chance. Well done.
Thank you.
So Robin Franks, he's just won a championship, but he's a bit narked because he's finished in 2nd place, classic. So now let's hear from 3rd place, Nicky Thiem and Frederick Vervies, first of all, with John.
Frederick Vervies started in the front row of the grid. Great job to keep the car in contention.
Yeah, I tried to contend for the Bentley, but they are really quick, so they started on new tires as well, so we didn't. And yeah, my main job was to try to overtake or at least keep the gap as little as possible, and then to overtake in the pit stop. But yeah, the restart there we were not awake, or there was a confusion. We thought normally there was a countdown, but there wasn't, and some people were alert, and we weren't. So,
Nicky, another blinding drive, fantastic. I mean, to me, you're the quickest guy on the racetrack after the pit stops. You just sat there like it was a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I had a good Sunday. I watched the title battle from the front row. So yeah, it was fun. Great GT3 racing, I must say. It's really fantastic. I could imagine from television it was also exciting until the end. We had a good car. I was hoping Robin could do something that I could help him. It's hard for me to involve in a title battle. I'm here to help the team, so of course I stay behind and watch. I tried to save my tires until the end and then to attack, but again, it's hard to do something against your teammate who you're here to help.
Well done, you two did a great, impressive job. Thank you.
Nicky Thiem and Frederick Vervies there, who will finish in 3rd place. Here's a look at the Blancpain GT Sprint Series Championship. Vanthoor and Maximilian Buhk, the champions, just 8 points clear of Robin Franks, and then Laurens Vanthoor will finish 3rd in the championship. Seidler and Seefried finishing in 4th spot in the championship, and then Ortelli down in 6th place. But that's the winning margin in the end. If Franks and Vanthoor had been in front, he would have won the title. Further down, you see the likes of Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez, who have had a difficult season, and it didn't end well with a retirement. Dolby and Walkinshaw picked up some solid points as the season drew to a close. Nicky Thiem and Frederick Vervies, after a strong weekend, end up finishing in 19th place alongside Bortolotti and Patrick Kujala. And then you get the sort of one-time entries further down, and Indy Donchi finishes at the bottom. 2 points from his performance here this weekend, which was impressive, and picked up a 9th place finish actually in the main race, so that's where those 2 points came from for Indy Donchi. But the win for Maximilian Buhk and Vanthoor gives them the Sprint Series title, and they're going to be out on the podium in a couple of moments' time. Here's a look at the sprint teams classifications, and Belgian Audi Club Team WRT wrapped that up yesterday. The retirement for BMW Team Brazil put them effectively out of contention for that 2nd place in the championship, which Bentley took anyway because they won the race. Rinaldi in 4th place, Phoenix in 5th, Reiter in 6th, then you've got ISR, GT Russian team, the last of our regular runners. So there's the gathering out the back of the podium. And they're going to be heading out onto the podium in just a couple of moments' time. And onto the top step. And the winners of the championship. Maximilian Buhk and Vincent Abril on the top step in Zolder. Zandvoort. It's been a long season as they go onto the top step. Robin Freins and Christopher Mies out onto row 2. Robin Freins, the overall Blancpain GT Series champion over endurance and sprint. And then 3rd place, Frederic Verviche and Nicky Thiem, after an impressive drive from them. And someone letting some stuff down there. There's Renaud Dufour. High fives with everyone. The man who's in charge of the HTP Bentley squad. And then out Jules Simkowiak and Max van Splunteren, winner of the race in Silver Cup. And the winners in Pro-Am, Indy Donchi and Alexei Karachev. Karachev first out, Donchi second out. And they go over the other side. So winners winning for the GT Russian team. And now the winners, HTP, the German national. So the top step for Maximilian Buhk and Vincent Abril. Mr. Eric Weiss, the COO of Circuit Park Zandvoort, hands out the trophies to Max Buhk and Vincent Abril on the top step. We will be having an overall championship podium a little later on. Well, it'll just be the Sprint Series podium. There's the trophy for Renaud Dufour. 2nd place for Robin Freins and Christopher Mies. It's still been a fantastic debut season for Robin Freins in the Sprint Series, because he'd never driven a GT car before the start of the year.
No, and it is a big transition from a high downforce single-seater car to a much less downforce GT car, a lot heavier as well, has an effect on the ability for the car to change direction, for braking, everything. It's a different discipline, you've got to learn it, and there's no quick way of learning it other than just through experience. But Robin Freins has done an outstanding job this year to partner with Laurens Vanthoor, who's been the go-to guy in the WRT team in both Sprint and Endurance Series for Audi. And there's another guy on the podium I think will be very soon knocking on that door, and that's Nicky Thiem. Outstanding drive this afternoon, sat behind Robin Freins all the way, and to me it looked like it was extremely comfortable for him to be there and to be as close as he was.
15,000 euros for Max Buhk and Vincent Abril, 10,000 for Freins and Mies, and 5,000 for Thiem and Verviche, that's it. And I said we were at Zolder a minute ago. That's the kind of season we're having. And there's the whole of the WRT crew down at the bottom there. Vincent Voss in the middle in the flat cap. And now and Jules Simkowiak has gone and stolen the champagne. And now it will be sprayed on the podium.
And make no mistake, it's nippy, even though the sun's out. And the girls that have been presenting the awards, well, if they get doused in champagne, they will want to get out of that dress as quick as possible, because in the shade it is not warm. But these guys are so pumped. I mean, in the case of Vincent Abril before,
that's amazing.
I've never seen such an outpouring of emotion. I mean, literally, he was on his knees, standing behind his little place. I mean, wonderful, because that's what sport is. It's an expression. Yeah. And that was expressed by Vincent in a way which normally drivers are carefully, they guard their emotions, and Vincent just let it flow. He was in tears, and he just needed that quiet moment just to gather his thoughts so that he knew he was going to be doing an interview. It was going to be a soft one, not a tough one this time. So, no, he and look, Maxi Buhk as well. I think the realization, Max, when he got out of the car, was typical Max, cool, you know, could have done another 10,000 mile race, you know, the drop of a hat. Now the reality of what he's achieved is beginning to set in. And there, again, you can just see the expression on his face. He might be short in stature, but he's big in heart. And believe me, he's a great, great racing driver.
And there we go, got to have the Pirelli cap. And the same can be said of Robin Freins. This is a look at the overall Blancpain GT Series points, and it's Robin Freins who is the champion, finishing 12 points clear of Maximilian Buhk. Laurens Vanthoor third again, Vincent Abril in fourth place because Buhk and Abril were split up at times during the Blancpain Endurance season. Ortelli finishing fifth in the championship and then Seidler behind. Further down you got the likes of Shane van Gisbergen, Kane, Merrick and Smith only did the endurance races, and there are the Endurance Series champions, Katsumasa Chiyo, Alex Buncombe and Wolfgang Reip. So here's a look at the teams' classifications overall, and Belgian Audi Club wrapped that up a long time ago, before Misano I think it was after Nürburgring that they managed to win the teams championship there, HTP finishing in second with an Audi in third. And you've got to say, you know, you've got the elation from Vincent Abril, but you've got the abject disappointment from Robin Freins. He's just won the overall championship, but it's not enough.
Yeah, I mean, it was victory on the grid, in effect, in the sprint race 24 hours ago, and it all went wrong in turn one. There was, as it has turned out after almost 24 hours of asking the question, the lightest, and it was not an intentional contact between the 333 Ferrari and the number one Audi, but that spun Robin Freins out, and he restarted a lap down in last place, and he drove the best he could do. He finished 15th, but it meant he was going to start at the back of the grid. And I mean, I suppose one might say count your blessings for the incident at turn one that put them back into contention.
Here's a look at the Silver Cup classifications after the Blancpain Sprint Series season. 164 points for Jules Simkowiak. He is the champion, finishing ahead of Anders Fjordbach. Thomas Fjordbach missed this race, so he finishes in third. The top step of the podium and the Blancpain Sprint Series champions are Maximilian Buhk and Vincent Abril. The team's champions there are WRT. It's second in the championship for Robin Freins. And there you can see Jules Simkowiak, the Silver Cup champion. Third in the championship, meanwhile, is going to be Laurens Vanthoor. And it's Simkowiak who's the Silver Cup champion. So, the season got underway all the way back in Nogaro, and it was Stefan Riquelme and Stefan Ortelli that had won the qualifying race, and they were starting from the pole position. But Schneider was out there in the yellow BMW as he was having a frantic race. But it was all about the 77 BMW Team Brazil squad in Nogaro. Victory for Maxime Martin and Dirk Muller after a hard-fought battle with the Audis, and it was a great way to start the season with the victory for the Brazilians.
Yes, it was. It was a very strong victory. Of course, it was the race that Robin Freins had that incident in qualifying. The car was damaged. It wasn't able to continue. So both Laurens Vanthoor and Robin Freins didn't even take part in this event.
Absolutely, and so that was not the best way that they wanted to start their season. Ortelli chased the BMW home, but it was victory for Maxime Martin and Dirk Muller, the first ever victory in the Blancpain Series for the BMW Team Brazil squad. Then we moved on to Brands Hatch. Vanthoor and Freins were back in action, and they were back on track. They took pole position, won the qualifying race, won the main race as well. It was the start of their domination.
But of course they didn't have the Bentley 84 because Max Buhk had a big off, and the exit of Paddock Hill Bend trashed the car in the barrier. As we see the Ferrari just staying off the barrier coming out of Paddock Hill, the dip at the bottom of the bend. There it is. The other view, how close was that to trashing a Ferrari? So one race lost to Audi, one race lost to Bentley, even Stevens as we move forward.
Absolutely, there was some great racing between Nicky Meyer-Melnoff and Albert von Turnen-Taxis. Meyer-Melnoff running wide there, and we also had a great run from Kevin Estra as he climbed up through the field in the 55 Attempto Racing McLaren to the nods of Rob Bell, and he gave us some entertainment on the exit of Sterling's as well.
Yeah, not the way you want to deal with the underbody of a McLaren. That's a 10,000 per square inch bill.
Move of the season from Jules Simkowiak, forced his way through up at Sterling's, but up at the front, Robin Freins and Laurens Vanthoor took their first victory of the season, and that moved them to the top of the championship. Then we moved on to Zolder, where there was this incident at the start. The 333 Rinaldi Ferrari spun out of second place by Vincent Abril, and they dropped well back down the field. There were battles throughout as ever, but the story up at the front was once again Robin Freins and Laurens Vanthoor, who were continuing to lead the way and absolutely dominate. The BMW Team Brazil pairing continued their strong start to the season, and this was Philip Vlasic, who was involved in a fantastic battle with Anders Fjordbach for 11th position in the final stages of the race, and Fjordbach in the end getting the cutback, but it was the victory across the line for the WRT Audi squad of Robin Freins and Laurens Vanthoor. They made it 4 victories out of their first 4 races. Then it was to the next race, and it was Bentley that were leading the way on the way down into turn 1. A skip across the inside from Enzo Eid meant that he tapped Albert von Turn and taxis into a spin, but this was the start in Moscow that really gave Abril and Buhk, well, it gave them their first win of the season.
Yeah, I mean, once they got the news of the Bentley ahead, again, the Moscow Raceway, not a racetrack where there are a great deal of opportunities to overtake, so position as early as possible is what it is all about.
The number 1 car had been caught up in an incident in the qualifying race and had to start from the back. Robin Freins came in and handed over to Laurens Vanthoor. The car was running in 5th place until a spin from Vanthoor saw them lose another position. Abril watched on as his teammate Maximilian Buhk came through the final corner to take the checker flag, to take the victory for the first time for HTP and Bentley, and they were absolutely delighted, and that was the start of the momentum that would give them ultimately the Sprint Series Championship. Then we were at the next race in the Algarve. It was a slow start initially from Maximilian Buhk, but that grunt of the Bentley gave him the lead in the battle with Vanthoor on the run down towards turn 1.
Yeah, and that's in a sense is the difference between the Bentley and the Audi. Bentley has got this massive torque that gives it the run from the lights down to the first corner, and again, as we've seen here this afternoon on the straight once you get onto Ari Luijendijk. So once he got the lead, this is when the pit stops were all occurring. Bentley stayed out, everybody else opted to go in, get the pit stop carried out as the earliest opportunity. Of course, very busy pit lane.
Nick Kasberg was rudely spun around by Valdeno Brito, but when the Bentley came out, they were held up on pit entry and at a slow stop, and as a result, they dropped down to 4th place. That meant it was another victory for Laurens Vanthoor and Robin Freins, continuing their superb year. Marcus Wingelhock and Nicky Meyer-Melnhoff having their best finish of the season with a 2nd place finish and a first podium in the Sprint Series for the 333 Rinaldi squad, but Freins and Vanthoor were now in control at the top of the championship. Then this happened in Misano. Vanthoor and Simkowiak, Vanthoor into the wall. That ended Vanthoor's championship challenge, and it meant that the number 1 Audi had to start at the back of the field for the main race in Misano, but Misano was all about Italia and all about Ferrari.
And it was all about this Ferrari 333, quickest car on the straight, used that advantage all the way through. The battle with the Bentley and the Lamborghini is very evenly matched, but some great racing, particularly at the back end of the circuit into turns 12, 13 and 14 here. The Nissan and the BMW side by side into 14. The Nissan had been so far off track one time I thought it was actually going to end up in Bologna.
But it was the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari that took their first win of the season, and it was a perfect weekend. Pole position, qualifying race and main race victories for Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler. That meant they were in contention coming into the final weekend of the year. This was the start of the main race here in Zandvoort. Contact at the start as Meyer-Melnhoff got together with Attila Abreu, and they were both pitched into the barriers, both BMWs involved, and Meyer-Melnhoff out of the race too. That all allowed a full course yellow to come out, which in turn, when that came in, was what gave the number 1 car of Christopher Mies that we're on board with here the opportunity to make up places. Having started in 14th place on the grid, all of a sudden out of nowhere they were in 4th position, and it was the ISR Audi of Marco Bononomi that knew the regulations while everyone was warming up their tyres. Look, he was gone, overtaking them all.
Yeah, but there's a one unwritten rule in motorsport is understand the rules and use them. There's a safety car line which happens to be just on the exit of turn 10, and Marco Bononomi knew, in fact between 9 and 10, he knew that he could go once the safety car had been withdrawn. That's the point where you can get the hammer down. He did it, Christopher Mies did it, and that's why we saw the number 1 Audi get into contention to challenge ultimately for victories in both these championships here this afternoon.
Vincent Abril, they managed to retake the lead, a good pit stop from them, but this was the moment. Look how close to the Bentley they would have been if that car had fired up. I don't want to make too big a thing about it. That could have cost them the championship. A bit of a bold claim, but these tiny things make all the difference. Freins raced hard though. He tried to chase the Bentley, Pierre Dieudonné was willing him on, but he couldn't manage to do it, and Maximilian Buhk and Vincent Abril were the pairing that held on to deservedly take the Blancpain Sprint Series title after an incredibly hard-fought season, John.
Yeah, I mean, there's been ebbs and flows all the way through the pit lane. Some teams could say if and or but this is the result. The Bentley had the advantage in qualifying and it used it through the weekend to secure 2 victories, but most notably to secure the championship, the sprint championship for Vincent Abril and for Max Buhk his second time.
So victory for Abril and Buhk. They win the Blancpain Sprint Series of 2015. Thank you very much for joining us this year. It's been an absolutely superb season. We will be getting underway again next season, the 9th of April and the 10th of April for Blancpain 2016.